Before we begin, let's slow everything down. You're not here to learn dates, or memorize rules, or keep track of every name. This channel exists for quiet watching, for long stories told gently, from a distance where nothing is urgent. We walk through strange worlds and broken timelines the way Prismo watches them from the center of time, calmly, patiently, letting moments unfold without rushing them. If you're still awake and you want more journeys like this waiting for you later, you can quietly subscribe or leave a like, a small signal to keep these timelines playing. And if you're already drifting, that's perfect. Let's begin. Finn's voice breaks the dead air first. I wish the Lich never existed. The words don't just leave his mouth. They fall. They sink through the ruined citadel like lead dropped into a black ocean, rippling through broken green glass and drifting prisoners, and the silent, starless void beyond. The citadel is a graveyard of heroes and horrors, frozen in the slow-motion collapse of a universe that has been through too much. Shattered chains drift, cracked comet light bleeds, and in the middle of that suspended wreckage, one wish hangs like a loaded spell pointed at existence itself. Here is the thing. The Lich is not in the room, and his absence has weight. His non-being presses against the edges of reality, like a wolf pacing outside thin wooden walls, testing for weak boards. This wish stalks him, or maybe he stalks the wish. They circle each other like two predators that both think they are the top of the food chain, each one trying to bite into the fabric of the timeline first. Time holds its breath, not metaphorically. You can almost hear it, a high, glassy ringing in the citadel's hollow bones, as every possible future pauses on a knife edge. If the Lich is pure entropy given skeleton and voice, then Finn's sentence is a counter-entropy, a weaponized desire trying to erase an idea from the multiverse. Think about that for a second. Not killing a body, not breaking a phylactery, but retroactively convincing reality that the concept of Lich was a typo it never meant to type, and somewhere else, totally disconnected and yet absolutely responsible, a pink glow lounges on a couch at the center of time. Prismo's time room is the worst possible backdrop for the end of the world. It looks like a cosmic sleepover that never ended. Beanbag chair, scattered VHS tapes, a jar with a single floating pickle, the soft hum of infinite TV screens showing infinite timelines. He is two-dimensional, literally a flat neon outline pasted onto the air, and he is also the axis around which every wish in Adventure Time quietly rotates. While the citadel cracks and the universe clenches, Prismo is reclined like he's halfway through a movie marathon. He hears Finn's wish. He has to. That's the rule. One wish per customer, spoken clearly. No takebacks, no moral veto, no "are you sure, little guy?" Even here, in that specifically Adventure Time way, cosmic power comes with customer service obligations. But when Prismo grants this wish, the universe does not heal. It fractures. Farmworld doesn't explode into being with fireworks. It condenses, like frost on the window of reality. A whole alternate Earth, a different post-Mushroom War history, a version of Finn with no Lich and no O, crystallizes quietly off to the side of the main timeline. We're going to come back to that, because this is the secret spine of every wish Prismo grants. You don't overwrite reality, you branch it. You don't fix a problem, you exile it to another path and hope no one wanders there. Let's start by floating up, out of the citadel, past Prismo's couch, above the branching tracks of every choice, every mistake, every whispered wish that ever nudged the multiverse into a new shape. The screens blur into constellations of possibility. Timelines stack like pages in an endless book you're reading to fall asleep. In this video, we're going to drift through those pages together, through time, dimensions, and reality itself, following Prismo and his wishes as a kind of cosmic bedtime story. So, if you're ready, close your eyes. The Lich is gone. the Lich is not gone. And somewhere between those two truths, our journey begins. Why time, dimensions, and Prismo matter while you're falling asleep. So here is the thing. If you're going to fall asleep to Adventure Time lore, it helps to know what dream you're actually drifting into. You're not just listening to random trivia about a pink wish guy on a couch. You're letting someone at the literal center of time whisper to you about how reality bends, breaks, and quietly heals itself. In this video, we're going to trace how time actually works in this universe. The straight lines, the loops, the resets, the moments where someone says a single sentence in the time room and an entire timeline peels off like a new page. We're going to talk about how dimensions stack and intersect, from Ooze post-Mushroom War Earth to the Nightosphere, the Citadel, Farm World, and that cozy little pocket where Prismo watches everything at once. Think about that for a second. A bachelor pad outside existence, with beanbags and movies, suspended over an infinite multiverse. We're going to walk through every major wish we see on screen, and many we only feel in the background. The Lich asking for extinction, and accidentally birthing Farm World. Finn begging to undo the past, and discovering that time has opinions. Jake making low-stakes, deeply Jake wishes that still ripple out through reality. For each wish, we'll look at the rules of the time room. One wish per person per lifetime, spoken clearly, no wish for more wishes, and then follow the consequences as they fracture or heal timelines. But the core of this isn't just mechanics, it's emotional gravity. Prismo is not just a plot device that lets writers reset continuity. He is the thematic heart of the show's questions about desire, choice, and loneliness. He has cosmic power, but he is also literally someone else's dream, trapped in a room he can't leave, granting wishes he didn't design the rules for. He is not evil. He is not even indifferent. He is just bound by rules older than the universe itself. That is why time and dimensions matter here, because they are the stage where Finn's desperation, Jake's laid-back acceptance, and Prismo's quiet heartbreak all play out. Finn clawing at reality to save people he loves. Jake shrugging and flowing with whatever timeline they land in. Prismo pretending this is all just a chill hang while he dies, resurrects, and watches universes recycle. In that specifically Adventure Time way, the multiverse becomes a mirror for very normal human feelings about regret and second chances. And as we go, the pacing will stay slow, soothing, almost like Prismo is talking you through his favorite episodes of existence while you drift off. We'll unpack wild metaphysics, cosmic owls, entropy demons, cycles of destruction and rebirth, but we'll do it gently, looping back, repeating, letting ideas settle. By the time we step fully into the time room in the next section, you'll know exactly why this little pocket outside reality is the quiet, glowing heart of the whole show. Your map through the multiverse, a gentle roadmap of what's coming. So, as we step fully into that quiet, glowing heart of the show, let's start by giving you a map. Not a frantic red string on the wall conspiracy map, more like a calm, cosmic subway diagram of the multiverse that you can fall asleep holding in your mind. Here is the thing. Adventure Time's reality gets wild very quickly. Timelines split, universes fork, people die and then undie in ways that would make a philosophy professor need a nap. So in this video, we're going to move through all of that in gentle, predictable arcs, circling back to the same cozy landmarks until it feels familiar. First, we'll ground you in foundational Prismo lore. We'll sit with him in the time room at the center of time, talk through the rules of wishing, and unpack what it really means that he's a dream. This fragile projection of an old man sleeping in some unremarkable corner of reality. Think about that for a second. The whole multiverse casually depends on one guy not rolling over in his sleep. From there, we'll follow the Lich's wish and the birth of Farm World. We'll watch those 5 words. I wish for the extinction. Peel the main timeline away like a sticker, and we'll trace how Prismo doesn't just edit events, he branches entire universes. Farm World Finn, the frozen Earth, the gun instead of the sword. We'll drift through all of that and then pull back to explain what a timeline even is in this universe. Then we'll pivot to Jake's sandwich wish, which sounds like the lowest stakes desire in existence and somehow becomes one of the most important. We're going to alternate like this: concrete story, then big picture rules. We'll zoom into a wish, feel the emotions and the jokes and the danger, and then zoom out to the cosmic scale and ask what that wish did to time, to identity, to reality itself. Along the way, we'll move into the death and resurrection loops. Prismo's own death, Finn's near deaths, the cosmic owl visions, the way the universe quietly reboots characters without fully letting them go. We'll talk about how the show uses those loops as experiments in existence, and we'll keep returning to Prismo as our anchor, our pink, radiant constant on the couch outside of time. Finally, we'll drift into the last big cycle, the series finale, the distant future, the idea that this universe has died and been reborn more than once. We'll gather everything, each wish, each rule, each fracture in the multiverse, and synthesize it into a simple set of patterns and an emotional core you can actually rest in. And, at the very end, we'll look at one more unsettling possibility: that some of these wishes didn't just change what happened, they may have quietly changed what it even means to be real in Adventure Time. And once you see that, it's hard not to wonder what exactly you've been watching this whole time. Get cozy in the time room, a soft CTA and settling in moment. So before we dive into that, let's actually do the opposite of diving. Let's float for a second. You've just been thinking about reality being rewritten by a single sentence, by a single wish, and that can be a lot. So here is the thing. This is the part of the video where you are officially allowed to get comfortable. If you can, dim the lights, let the room go a little bit soft around the edges, settle back into your bed, or sink into your couch, and imagine that, instead of your ceiling, you're looking up at the time room. Infinite screens hovering in the dark, each one a different timeline, each one showing some version of all quietly existing. The universe hums outside like distant traffic. You are not in the center of your day anymore. You're in the center of time. Let's start by giving your body permission to do nothing. You don't have to sit up straight. You don't have to pay attention correctly. You can lie on your side, one arm under the pillow, phone or laptop balanced at an angle that would make a physical therapist cry, and that is fine. Think about that for a second. Prismo, a cosmic wishmaster, spends eternity in what is essentially a magical studio apartment. If he can conduct multiverse-level reality edits from a couch, you are allowed to listen to lore while half asleep. And if you like having that, if you enjoy deep dives into weird, cozy cosmic rules like this, in this video and others, you can gently support it without even breaking the vibe. You can tap like now, or subscribe, or save this to a playlist called something unreasonably honest like falling asleep to existential cartoons. You don't have to pause the universe to do it. You just nudge a button the same way Prismo nudges a timeline. Here is another important part. You do not need to remember any of this perfectly. This is allowed to be both a dense guide to how wishes reshape existence, and also just background sound. You might drift off while we're talking about Farm World, or the Mushroom War, or why one wish per person changes the ethics of desire. That's okay. The lore will still be here tomorrow. Time is very flexible on YouTube. Pattern interrupt. Imagine Prismo queuing up a snack for you. Not for Finn, not for Jake. For you, he slides over to that cosmic fridge, pulls out a jar of pickles that exists simultaneously in every timeline, and then flops back onto the couch, remote in hand. "All right," he says, "we're going to line up the next episode of Analysis, because that's what we're doing now. We're queuing up the next part of the story. You're settled in the time room, the multiverse is quietly rotating outside, and it's time to really meet Prismo, not as a background joke, not as a quirky side character, but as the universe's lonely wishmaster whose power hides a very specific kind of isolation. Prismo between infinity and heartbreak, reframing the wishmaster. So here you are, on the couch in the time room with him. The multiverse is humming outside like a distant refrigerator, and Prismo is half watching a movie, half watching every timeline at once. He is between snacks and singularities, between a lazy afternoon and the center of time. Think about that for a second, because here is the thing about Prismo. He lives between infinite power and total vulnerability. He can rewrite reality, but only when someone shows up and asks. He can fracture a universe into farm world with a single wish, but he cannot walk out the door of his own bachelor pad prison. He is between dream and dreamer, between God and gig, between background gag and central thesis of the entire show. Let's start with the room. On the surface, it's cozy. Beanbag, TV, movies looping, a jar of pickles, this warm pink glow that makes you feel like you wandered into the chillest cosmic sleepover. But underneath that, the time room is a control center welded to a cage. It's outside reality, outside the timelines he edits, which means he is always watching existence and never participating in it. He is between audience and author, forced to narrate everyone else's desire while his own life stays on pause. And Prismo plays it off. He's funny, he's flirty, he's that friend who makes the apocalypse feel like a hangout. Dry jokes when the Lich wishes for the extinction of all life. Casual banter while Finn accidentally spawns an alternate timeline. But listen closely to the silence between his lines. There is loneliness there. Resignation, the exhaustion of someone who has seen every kind of wish bend reality and still has to be on call for the next one. He is between joke and confession at all times. In this video, we're going to argue that Prismo is Adventure Time's emotional spine. He embodies the show's central tension, the clash between childlike adventure and crushing cosmic responsibility. Finn runs in asking for do-overs, for fixed arms, for heroic solutions. Prismo smiles, presses a metaphorical button, and entire universes pivot. Silly wishes, irreversible consequences. He is between that'd be cool and you just rewrote the fate of countless beings. In that specifically Adventure Time way, the joke lands first and the existential dread lands later, usually when you're trying to fall asleep. And remember, Prismo is not just in the multiverse, he is a dream. Somewhere an old man sleeps, and as long as he dreams, Prismo exists. Wake him, and the time room, the screens, the Wishmaster, all of it vanish. The universe literally depends on this one dream continuing. So when you think about time and dimensions in this show, loops, resets, alternate realities, you are really thinking about the stability of one sleeping mind. He is between existence and erasure every second. We're going to dive into the rules next. The one-wish limit, the cosmic bureaucracy, the unseen boss. But hold on to this image as you drift. A lonely, glowing being at the center of time, laughing with you, terrified of waking up. The time room, a bachelor pad floating outside reality. So now hold that image of Prismo laughing at the center of time and zoom out. Outside his voice, outside outside the old man's dream, there is just black. Not night sky black with stars, but that calm, blank cosmic silence where even reality forgets to render. And in that silence, hanging like a screensaver someone never turned off, is the time room. Let's start with the vibes, because Adventure Time always hides its metaphysics inside a mood. The time room is a bachelor pad floating in the void, soft neon glow, purple gradients smearing the edges of space, a sagging couch that has seen more universes than you ever will, a TV that doesn't get channels so much as timelines. There are snacks that never go stale, a pickle jar, Random artifacts from across the multiverse just lying around like souvenirs from impossible vacations. A blaster from some sci-fi war. A trinket from Farm World. A forgotten relic from before the Mushroom War. Think about that for a second. Every object in that clutter is technically evidence in a cosmic crime scene. Here is the thing. This room does not exist inside time. Time exists inside it. Prismo's pad sits outside linear sequence, outside normal space, at the conceptual center of time, where every timeline is less a road and more a tab in an infinite browser. From that couch, he can look at at Farm World, at universes we never even see on screen, the way you might flip between videos when you can't sleep. Not parallel windows, not alternate dimensions, just different angles on the same multiverse, all visible at once. But even from here, even with that much power, he's still bound by rules. One wish per person per lifetime. Clear wording, no wishing for more wishes. He can drag the camera of existence around, zoom into Finn's timeline, rewind the lich, branch off a whole Farm World reality. But he cannot ignore the procedures his unseen boss set up. He can see every desire. He cannot indulge his own. The contrast is almost funny. The room looks like an 80s hangout where you'd fall asleep watching bad movies with a friend. But functionally, it's a cosmic operations center. Reality goes in and out of this space like files being edited and saved. A wish isn't poof, it changed. It's Prismo reaching into the code of a universe and either forking a new timeline or overwriting an old one, then tossing the result back into circulation while he lounges on that couch. And yet, for all that, the time room is not the unshakable fortress it pretends to be. It feels stable, eternal, outside consequences. But remember, it is literally anchored to one sleeping mortal in some forgotten corner of existence. If that man wakes up, the neon goes dark, the couch evaporates, the infinite screens blink out. We're going to see what happens when someone actually breaks into that fragile outside-of-time hub, and what it costs the multiverse when the bachelor pad at the center of time stops being safe. How wishing really works. The quiet bureaucracy of miracles. When the bachelor pad at the center of time stops being safe, every wish he's ever granted starts to feel dangerous in retrospect. Because here is the thing. Prismo's chill, sleepy vibe is wrapped around a machine that can quietly rewrite the entire multiverse with a single sentence. Let's start with the most brutal rule. One wish. Per person. Per lifetime. That's it. No refills, no cosmic coupons, no but I was a baby, it doesn't count. In a universe where a wish can erase the lich, or birth an entirely new Earth, that scarcity turns every visit to the time room into a once-in-existence decision. Think about that for a second. Most of us can't decide what to eat for dinner, and here you have to decide what to do with the only guaranteed reality edit you will ever get. And the wish has to be spoken clearly, out loud. Prismo doesn't dig through your subconscious to find your true desire. He waits for the words. He's like a cosmic court stenographer with godlike power, obligated to act only on the official record. When Finn wishes the lich had never existed, Prismo doesn't interpret that as "make my life easier." He literally spawns Farm World, an alternate timeline where the Mushroom War went differently and the lich never formed. Clear sentence, clear consequence. But he's not a trickster about it. He is not evil. He is not even indifferent. He is just bound by rules older than time itself. Prismo will grant your wish as literally as possible, but in that specifically Adventure Time way. He also nudges it toward mercy whenever the bureaucracy gives him an inch. Jake wishes for the lich to be sent to the Citadel, and Prismo doesn't twist it. He just executes the cleanest version of that command. Simon, as Ice King, gets one wish as well. And whatever he asked for, Prismo honored it without moral veto. No lecture, no punishment, just procedure. So he's not a genie waiting to catch you in a loophole. He's not a monkey's paw waiting to punish your hubris. He's something stranger and sadder, a cosmic civil servant. He has a boss we never see, inherited protocols he didn't design, and a stack of metaphysical paperwork that says no wishing for more wishes, no self-wishes from Prismo, and one wish per customer. Even if your mind shatters and you call yourself something else now. And the result is that wishes don't always overwrite the main timeline. Often they branch. Farmworld doesn't vanish when Finn's wish is undone. It keeps existing, a parallel universe spun off from a single sentence uttered in a glowing room. Every granted wish is like that, an immediate visible effect for the wisher, and then quiet, long-term ripples echoing across dimensions we barely glimpse. In this video, we're going to keep following those ripples, through Farmworld, through Simon's unseen choice, through Prismo's own death, to see what happens when that careful bureaucracy finally breaks. Time is a playground and a trap, baseline time mechanics in OO. So let's zoom out from that glowing room and look at the world those ripples are quietly rearranging. Because here is the thing, Adventure Time pretends at first glance that it has a pretty normal linear timeline. There was a past, there is a present. The future marches forward. You meet Finn, you meet Jake, they go on quests, they get older, and then the series finale lets them ride off into whatever comes next. Let's start with that surface layer. Long before you ever see a stretchy dog or a candy kingdom, the Mushroom War tears the old Earth apart. That war is the fracture line that splits our familiar reality into the weird, magical post-apocalypse of OO. Time moves forward from there. Humans nearly vanish. Magic seeps in. Vampires roam. Princesses build kingdoms. And eventually a human baby in a hat grows up to become the hero you watch episode after episode. Finn and Jake age in tiny, almost domestic increments. New seasons, new villains, new heartbreaks. Then, in the finale, we jump far beyond them to Shermie and Beth. Proof that the universe keeps going after our main duo fades out of the frame. That all feels clean, it feels like a straight road. But tucked inside that road are doors, and some of them open into places where time stops behaving. The time room is the most obvious one, a pocket dimension at the center of time where Prismo lounges on his couch, watching every timeline at once, like channels on an infinite TV wall. There, a wish is not just a decision, it's an edit to the multiverse. Think about that for a second. To Finn, a wish to undo the Lich looks like a single heroic moment. To Prismo, it's a fork in reality that births Farmworld, a whole separate existence running in parallel. And the time room is not alone. There are time loops where Finn keeps reliving a day to save a village. There are enchanted artifacts that yank him backward or forward. There are episodes where a single choice leads to a hard reset of the timeline, with only a few cosmic entities remembering what used to be. To you, watching, it's an adventure. To the universe, it's a branching diagram scribbled across the fabric of existence. So while Finn, Jake, and almost everyone in OO experience time as a straight line, wake up, quest, sleep, repeat, beings like Prismo and the Cosmic Owl see something else entirely. They see a network. A web of possible moments constantly shimmering, constantly rearranged by every wish, every dream, every accident. They aren't moving through time, they're browsing it. In that specifically Adventure Time way, the show hides a cosmic labyrinth under a cozy episodic road trip. We're going to peel that labyrinth open next. The loops that trap characters, the resets that erase whole histories, and the rare, dangerous memories that slip through the cracks and refuse to be rewritten. Not a metaphor. The old man dreaming Prismo into existence. So we peel back the labyrinth, and underneath all the loops and resets and clever timeline tricks, there's a bed. A small, ordinary bed in a room that is not ordinary at all. Here is the thing. At the literal center of time, outside the multiverse, the cosmic wishmaster Prismo is not just a guy. He is a dream. Let's start painfully plainly, because Adventure Time actually does. Prismo is the dream of an old man. Not metaphorically, not symbolically. Literally, an unnamed frail human body sleeping on a simple cot in the time room, while that glowing pink, two-dimensional Prismo you know lounges on the couch, watches movies, and grants wishes. The real organism is the one snoring softly in the background. The charismatic host is the dream content. You see the body only briefly, but it's unforgettable. The old man is thin, almost translucent, lying flat on his back, hands folded, eyes closed, chest rising and falling in slow mechanical rhythm. Simple pillow, simple blanket. No cosmic throne, no halo of power, just a hospital-adjacent nap at the center of time. Next to him, Prismo's outline flickers against the wall like a neon shadow that forgot to stay attached. All jokes and chill energy and impossible authority. And all of that power hangs from the most fragile thread imaginable. If the old man wakes up, Prismo stops. Instantly. The time room, the screens, the wish interface with the multiverse, all of it vanishes because the dreamer has left the dream. If the old man dies, the dream doesn't become a ghost or ascend to a higher plane. It just ends, the way your dream about losing your homework ends when your alarm goes off. No more Prismo, no more wishes, no more cozy cosmic bachelor pad. He is not evil. He is not even indifferent. He is just bound by rules older than himself, and the first rule is brutal. His existence is contingent on another person's unconsciousness. Think about that for a second. The being who can rewrite a universe with a single, clearly spoken wish is ontologically weaker than a guy who is, by definition, not even awake. This is the part that would make ontology professors weep into their office coffee. In this video, we're going to keep running into this. The show refuses to draw a clean line between dream and reality. Prismo is a dream that can alter real timelines like Farm World. The cosmic owl is a prophetic bird that only appears in dreams, but his appearances dictate fates in waking reality. Golb erases universes as casually as you erase a doodle. So which side is primary here? The dream or the so-called real? Because if a dream at the center of time can reach out and move whole universes around like chess pieces, what does that say about the status of those universes? Are they stable worlds, or are they just another layer of someone else's sleep? And if Prismo can die, be resurrected, and keep rewriting timelines, we have to ask a quieter, more unsettling question. When you wake up from a dream, how sure are you that you stopped dreaming at all? Hold on to that, because next we're going to watch what happens when a single wish from a single skeleton brushes against that fragile boundary and shatters it. Are we all just someone's Prismo, consciousness, dreams, and reality? So when the Lich's wish scrapes against that boundary and splinters reality, it's not just a plot device, it's a mirror, a quiet, unnerving echo of a much stranger question. If Prismo is only a dream, then what does that make everyone whose lives he rewrites from his couch at the center of time? Let's start with the obvious tension. Prismo vanishes the moment the old man wakes up. No sleeper, no dream, no cosmic bachelor pad, no wall of multiverse screens. On paper, that makes him sound less real than Finn and Jake, who have bodies and burritos and taxes. Probably. But here is the thing. In Adventure Time, dependence does not equal inferiority. Depends on the Mushroom War. The multiverse depends on rules we never see. Prismo depends on a sleeping brain. All of those are contingent, and all of them are treated as real. He is fragile, yes. He is also the axis around which entire timelines swing. He grants a wish, and suddenly there is Farm World, an entire universe with its own history, its own ice crown, its own versions of desire and regret. All because one skeleton asked for extinction, and one boy tried to undo it. Think about that for a second. If a dream can accidentally generate a whole alternate Earth, is that Earth less real, or is it just downstream in the river of someone else's sleep? Adventure Time refuses to keep dreams in the safe private corner of your head. Dreams are inner worlds, but they are also literal doorways. The cosmic owl flies into them to deliver fate. Prismo hosts you on his couch while time outside rearranges. Finn's wish doesn't just stay in his mind, it fractures the timeline and leaves permanent scars. A dream can be a message, a trap, a vacation, or a weapon. In that specifically Adventure Time way, the show treats dreams as infrastructure. And now, there's you, lying in bed, listening to Prismo lore while your own consciousness starts to blur at the edges. You're picturing the time room, the glow of the screens, the old man snoring in some unremarkable corner of reality. You are, right now, running a high-resolution Prismo simulation in your brain. From the inside, for however long this lasts, that image of him is as real as your last memory of walking into your kitchen. Here is the pattern interrupt. From Prismo's perspective, you might be the less real one. You flicker on his screens as a minor background universe. He lounges outside of time. He would watch your entire life the way you watch a single episode. But as you drift off, we're going to quietly flip that again. Because when you finally lose the thread of this sentence and slip into sleep, you will become the dreamer. You will spin up Prismo-like spaces, impossible rooms, elastic time, wish-powered universes that feel, from the inside, perfectly solid. The characters in those dreams will not know they are made of you. They will argue, fall in love, fight liches made of your anxieties, and never once suspect that their entire multiverse is balanced on the rhythm of your breathing. So when we ask, are we all just someone's Prismo? The show's answer is strangely gentle. Maybe. But also, every time you close your eyes, someone else is you. Some tiny consciousness, in some tiny dream universe, is looking up at a glowing sky and calling it reality. And next, to really feel how dangerous and beautiful that is, we're going to follow one of those wishes as it tears straight through the fabric of the multiverse and refuses to stay just a dream. The Lich never existed, except he did, setting up the farm world split. So we follow one of those wishes, straight into the worst possible moment. Finn is standing in the time room, bleeding, shaking, watching the Lich wear his own body like a horrible smug sweater. The center of time is quiet, but it's that heavy, cosmic quiet, like the universe is holding its breath. Jake is gone. Ooh is on the edge of extinction, and the one person who was supposed to have all the power to fix this is just a pink glow on a couch who has to obey the rules. Here is the thing. Finn is not thinking about metaphysics. He is not thinking about the multiverse, or branching timelines, or the ethical weight of undoing an entire existence. He is thinking in that specifically Adventure Time way, like a kid who has seen too much and still believes that if you say the right words, reality will listen. So he grabs the wish. He doesn't wish the Lich defeated. He doesn't wish him imprisoned, or redeemed, or turned into a harmless little skeleton decoration for the tree fort. He goes absolute. Finn says, I wish the Lich never existed. Think about that for a second. Never existed. Not dead. Not gone. Just subtracted from all of time, from every universe, from every moment where his shadow ever touched anything. And Prismo grants it. The time room shudders. The screens flicker, like someone changed the channel on the entire cosmos. There's this instant where reality looks wrong, like a tape being fast-forwarded and rewound at the same time. And then Finn blinks, and he's not in the time room anymore. He's standing in the snow, holding a hoe instead of a sword, wearing furs instead of a hat, with a family calling his name. Farm world. In this new reality, the Mushroom War went differently. Simon never became the Ice King. Ooh never became Ooh. Finn is just a human kid on a frozen Earth. scraping through existence with no magic, no candy people, no Jake. The Lich is gone because the chain of events that birthed him never happens. The universe has been redealt, same planet, new hand. But here's what's crucial for understanding Prismo's power. The main timeline doesn't get overwritten. The ooh, the one where the Lich possessed Billy and stood in this very room, still exists on its own track. Prismo's wish system doesn't run an edit on the original file. It makes a duplicate and saves a new version where the wish is true. One wish, one fresh timeline, branching cleanly off the multiverse like a new river. So Finn hasn't fixed his world. He has generated another one. His desire for a lichless reality doesn't heal the wound. It opens a parallel universe where the wound was never inflicted. And we're going to see this pattern again and again. Prismo's wishes don't really rewrite history, they proliferate it. Hold that in your mind as you drift deeper, because Farmworld is only the first time a wish refuses to stay contained to the time room, and the consequences of that are about to get much, much stranger. Inside Farmworld, a universe born from one desperate sentence. Farmworld is what happens when a sentence grows teeth and refuses to stay hypothetical. One desperate wish, one terrified boy shouting that the Lich never existed, and somewhere on the infinite wall of screens, a new channel flickers on. No green comet, no skeletal hand ending civilizations, just Earth left alone with its own mistakes. Let's start with how it looks, because Farmworld hits your eyes before it hits your brain. This is not the candy-colored surrealism of ooh. It's snowblind fields, rusted satellite dishes half buried in drifts, corrugated metal patched into houses that wheeze in the wind. Technology is scavenged, not celebrated. Generators cough, guns jam, and the crown is treated like a dangerous appliance, not a mystical relic. Magic is minimal, almost embarrassed to be here. The universe feels heavier without it. Here is the thing. Everyone you know is here, and yet no one is. Finn is Farmworld Finn now, a kid with calloused hands and a knit hat instead of a bear hat, living with his mum and siblings, doing chores, hauling water, worrying about fuel. No Jake, because without the Lich, Joshua and Margaret never found that strange shape-shifting pup. No Princess Bubblegum ruling a candy kingdom. Humanity never fell far enough for candy people to rise. The familiar magical elements from ooh are either absent or they've been demoted into rumors, half-remembered ghost stories from before the bombs fell. The Mushroom War still happens, but notice how its aftermath breathes differently without the Lich's influence. There is devastation, yes, but not guided annihilation, no undead general whispering entropy into the cracks of reality. So Earth recovers in a more grounded, uneven way. Pockets of human culture clinging to old-world tools, barter economies, improvised medicine, religion built around broken machines and half-working relics. The timeline doesn't spiral into weird cosmic fantasy as fast. It limps through a long, hard winter of being merely post-apocalyptic. And in the middle of that, there's Finn, except not. His identity is built on survival, not heroism. He doesn't wake up with a destiny, he wakes up with chores. His sense of purpose points inward, toward family, not outward, toward the multiverse. When he reaches for power, it's not a magic sword of grass or blood. It's an ice crown in a box humming with a cold he doesn't understand. Think about that for a second. In one timeline, Finn spends years fighting the crown's corruption in Simon. In Farmworld, he puts it on himself. We're going to sit with the emotional whiplash of that. Because Farmworld Finn never met Prismo, never heard the rules, never knew his existence was contingent on a wish made by another version of himself. He is a side effect of someone else's desire. A whole boy, with memories and fears, and a favorite hat born because a cosmic entity had to honor a sentence. And crucially, when our Finn leaves, Farmworld does not dissolve back into Prismo's couch cushions. It keeps going. The crown still tempts. The snow still falls. That universe continues to age in real time, a full reality spun off as collateral. In that specifically Adventure Time way, the show just lets that hang there. If one frightened wish can generate an entire enduring world, how many other timelines are out there? Still running, still suffering, still celebrating, long after the wish that birthed them has been forgotten at the center of time. And what happens when someone starts using that on purpose? Branches on the cosmic tree. Are alternate timelines just as real? So here is the thing. Once Farm World exists, you can't unthink it. You can close your eyes in ooh, you can rewind the wish, you can patch the main timeline, but somewhere out there in the multiverse, a frozen Earth with a terrified one-armed Finn is still waking up to his own separate reality. Let's start with the basic ontological nightmare. Is Farm World as real as ooh? On one level, it looks like a side effect. The Lich makes a wish for extinction, Finn panics and counter-wishes that the Lich never existed, and reality branches. It feels like a cosmic what-if fanfic that Prismo accidentally printed out instead of just leaving in his drafts folder. And yet, once printed, it doesn't fade. It acquires history. It acquires memory. It acquires pain. In a lot of multiverse media, alternate timelines are framed as simulations, or shadow copies. They're echoes in a larger cosmic hall, interesting but disposable. Adventure Time does something stranger. Prismo's wish system doesn't just overwrite the main line, it extrudes a whole new timeline out of the center of time and lets it run on its own, like a living offshoot grafted onto a cosmic tree. This is not a quick edit. This is a new branch that keeps growing even if you stop watching. Think about that for a second. When Finn's wish is later countered, Ooh's history snaps back toward its original track. But Farm World doesn't implode, doesn't dissolve into narrative dust. Its Finn keeps making choices. It's Jake, it's Ice King Analog, it's civilians in parkas under nuclear ice, all continue existing in parallel, far from the beanbags and VHS tapes of the time room. That means every wish that rewrites reality is not just a personal correction. It's a creative act with citizens, with economies, with birthdays and funerals. You are not just fixing your own mistake, you are generating universes to hold the alternate outcomes of your desire. The ethical math gets very weird very fast. If you fix a bad wish, do you now owe something to the version of reality where you didn't fix it? Are you responsible for the joys and tragedies of a world that exists because you panicked in front of a pink cosmic being on a couch? Here is the quiet horror, delivered in that specifically Adventure Time way, half joke and half abyss. Farm World Finn never asked to be a philosophical argument about ontological status. He just wanted his family safe. From his perspective, Ooh is the hypothetical. He is the baseline. And we're going to follow that thought back to the time room, because Prismo is the one who presses enter on these branches. He watches Farm World on one screen, Ooh on another, other Wishborn timelines flickering at the edges of his vision. And he knows that every casual hangout, every late-night wish session, might spin off another enduring world. He can't visit them, he can't parent them. He can only lounge at the center of time, jar of pickles nearby, carrying the knowledge that his job is not just granting wishes, but quietly populating the multiverse. In the next section, we'll sit with what that does to him. Jake's perfect sandwich. A small wish with big-time ripples. So when you zoom out from that image of Prismo, lounging at the center of time, accidentally parenting entire timelines with every lazy hand gesture, the next wish we have to talk about feels almost like a joke, not a cosmic prison break, not a multiverse extinction event, just Jake, lying on a couch in the time room, and using his one wish per lifetime on the perfect sandwich. Let's start in that episode. Wake up and escape from the Citadel, where the stakes are enormous and the mood is apocalyptic. Finn is vibrating with this desperate world-fixing desire, ready to throw his wish at the Lich, at his dad, at the whole broken reality of Ooh. And beside him, Jake is just hungry. He looks around Prismo's bachelor pad infinity, absorbs the unimaginable power on offer, and asks for bread, meat, and toppings arranged in a configuration that maximizes his personal lunch satisfaction. Here is the thing. The show does not downplay the sandwich. Prismo pauses, leans into it, and what appears is almost reverent. Perfectly toasted bread with that golden, fragile crust. Melty cheese draped over glistening meat. Lettuce so crisp you can practically hear it in your head. A smear of some impossible sauce that exists in no other kitchen in the universe. It's low stakes in content, but it's treated with the same literal, reality-bending seriousness as the Lich's wish for extinction, because the rules do not change just because the wish is about lunch. One wish per person per lifetime. No wishing for more wishes. Clear statement, literal fulfillment. Jake has just burned his cosmic lottery ticket, and the time room responds with the full weight of its power. Somewhere, a timeline is now the universe in which Jake, in that exact moment, experiences the maximal sandwich of his entire existence. It's funny. It's also quietly terrifying. We're going to sit with that contrast for a second. Finn reaches for wishes like they are emergency surgery on reality, trying to stitch closed the wounds left by the Lich, by the Mushroom War, by his own loneliness. Jake treats the same power like a spa day. He trusts the universe. He trusts time. He believes, almost on instinct, that existence will wobble back into balance without him rewiring the multiverse. Think about that for a second. Two heroes, same wish system, totally different philosophies of desire, and the universe does not care. The time room does not distinguish between fix-all timelines and make my lunch nice. The screens light up, the cosmic paperwork gets filed, another branch of reality is locked in. No alarms, no moral commentary, just a perfect sandwich pressed into the fabric of time. In that specifically Adventure Time way, this is the joke and the thesis at once. Even the smallest wish is still a lever on the multiverse. In the next section, we'll see what happens when Finn pulls that lever hard and the ripples stop being cozy and start breaking worlds. From sandwiches to sacrifice, the hidden stakes of Jake's choice. So when Jake bites into that wish sandwich, reality doesn't shake. No portals open, no ominous music, no glimpse of the multiverse cracking at the center of time. It's quiet, it's cozy, and that silence is the sound of every other possibility dying. Here is the thing. One wish per person per lifetime means Jake just closed a door you can never reopen. No resurrection clause for when he eventually dies. No emergency reset if Finn is shattered by some future tragedy. No last-minute cosmic undo button when the universe is hanging over a bulb-shaped abyss. By choosing mustard and meat, he quietly locks away every hypothetical fix-it timeline where he begs Prismo to rewind time, pull someone back from non-existence, or erase a catastrophe. And yet, it doesn't feel tragic in the moment. It feels right. Jake isn't stupid. He's lazy, he's chill, but he's not blind to power. He has watched wishes go wrong. He's seen the Lich's desire for extinction spawn farm world instead of a neat apocalypse. He has lived in a universe where the Mushroom War already proved that trying to control reality with ultimate weapons ends badly. So when a literal cosmic wishmaster offers him a blank check, he doesn't reach for destiny. He reaches for lunch. Let's start from that intuition. Jake understands, maybe not in formal philosophical language, but in his bones, that if you try to solve existence with a single perfect wish, you invite disaster. Big wishes spill. They leak into other timelines. They pull alternate realities into being just to accommodate your sentence. A sandwich, though, a sandwich is self-contained. It doesn't need a branch universe. It doesn't rewrite history. It just appears, gets eaten, and time moves on. Think about that for a second, because that choice boomerangs later. When Finn loses an arm, when friends die, when the world teeters on the edge of annihilation, there is always this ghost option that never arrives. Jake marching back to the time room to demand a cosmic do-over. That timeline simply cannot exist now. Finn can rage, bargain, spiral, but he cannot say, "Use your wish." It's gone, eaten, digested, irrevocably ordinary. And the show hides that under a joke. In that specifically Adventure Time way, humor becomes a pattern interrupt that smuggles in a huge ethical statement. You laugh at the sandwich, you move on, and only later do you realize that the series has quietly removed the easiest narrative escape hatch. There is no Dragon Ball resurrection arc waiting in Prismo's couch cushions. There is just consequence, grief, acceptance, and the slow, messy work of living in a damaged universe. So Jake's wish looks trivial, but it doubles as a tiny act of resistance against the temptation to micromanage reality. He refuses the fantasy that you can fix every wound with one precise sentence at the center of time. And as the multiverse gets stranger, as wishes start birthing entire timelines and cosmic entities collide, that small, sleepy refusal is going to matter more than you'd think. Because if Jake won't control everything with his wish, someone else will try, and their desire will not be so harmless. Death, do-overs, and the cost of coming back. And here is the thing, once you open the door to control, you also open the door to death. To who gets to stay gone, and who gets quietly edited back into existence from the comfort of a couch at the center of time. If someone is going to steer the universe, that means deciding what happens when a life ends. Adventure Time does not flinch away from this. Characters die. Prismo himself casually orders the usual from death, like they're at a cosmic diner. We see the dead worlds as layered spheres of afterlife, each reality of the multiverse with its own stacked onion of consequences. Finn falls into death's domain. Jake bargains there. Peppermint Butler has a punch card. Death is not abstract. He is a guy with a job, a scythe, and a bureaucracy. But we're going to notice something stranger. For a universe obsessed with decay and endings, people do not always stay dead. Finn watches Prismo evaporate. Shoko's ghost haunts the treehouse. Billy is killed, then worn like a macabre puppet by the Lich. The show keeps reaching past the boundary line, poking at it, asking if gone is really as permanent as it looks. Think about that for a second. Prismo's wish system is where death and time really start to blur. He can't just say you're alive again in the main timeline without consequences. Instead, he nudges reality sideways. When Finn wishes the Lich had never existed, Prismo doesn't delete a villain. He births Farmworld, a whole separate timeline where the Mushroom War went differently, and the Lich's wish never happened. No corpse is resurrected on screen. The universe just pivots to a branch where the fatal moment never landed. So resurrection, in that specifically Adventure Time way, is often a matter of navigation rather than reversal. You don't rewind time, you slide into a neighboring possibility where the wound was never inflicted. That sounds clean. It is not. Every wish like that fractures continuity, leaving behind alternate selves, half-remembered realities, and echoes that show up later as déjà vu, or as entire universes full of people who never asked to be created by someone else's desire. The show keeps reminding you that these are not harmless edits. Farmworld Finn lives a whole life of trauma because of a wish the original Finn barely understands. Prismo's timeline splits mean there isn't one definitive you, just a cluster of variations orbiting a decision. Memory becomes unreliable, causality becomes a polite suggestion, and yet death is never treated as a glitch to be patched out. It's a natural part of existence with its own rules and its own cosmic stakeholders. Death negotiates, the cosmic owl dreams omens of it. Even Golb's annihilation is a kind of terminal punctuation. You can bargain, delay, redirect into another branch of reality, but you cannot erase the concept of an ending from the multiverse. Which brings us back to Prismo himself, because if the guy managing all these careful wish-based detours around death can die, what does that say about the stability of the whole system? When the dream at the center of time is snuffed out, every resurrected timeline, every delicate workaround, suddenly looks fragile. And the way Prismo dies, and the way he comes back, is about to show you just how breakable the universe's safety net really is. When the Wishmaster dies, Prismo's death and the shattering of stability, so when that safety net finally snaps, it doesn't go with a quiet fade-out, it goes with a break-in. Let's start in the time room, at the center of time, where reality is usually a chill couch hang. Jake is there, Finn is there, Prismo is there. The screens are humming with infinite timelines, like a cosmic aquarium. And then the intrusion, the lich-possessed Jake, the wish already weaponized, brings the crownless farm world Finn back into play. And suddenly this little bachelor pad outside the universe becomes a war zone. The attack isn't loud in the usual way. It's precise, surgical, directed at the one vulnerability Prismo can never really talk about. Because here is the thing, Prismo doesn't die in the time room. He dies in a dingy apartment in some forgotten corner of baseline reality. When the lich wakes up the old man on the couch, the camera snaps from cosmic to mundane. No glowing walls of time, just a TV, a blanket, a body that has been sleeping far too long. The moment the man's eyes open, the dream ends. Prismo's pink outline flickers, his voice stretches thin, and then the time room goes dark, like someone unplugged the universe's screensaver. Immediately, everything that depended on him shudders. Ongoing wishes freeze mid-consequence. The farm world timeline, which should have been quarantined as a side branch, begins to bleed forward without its editor. The rules are still written somewhere, but the clerk who knew how to file the paperwork is gone. Timelines keep running, but no one is at the center of time watching the dials. Think about that for a second. Every reckless wish, every careful workaround, is now just unattended. And this is where Adventure Time quietly undercuts the idea of cosmic constants. Prismo looked eternal. He felt like background radiation, like gravity, like the part of existence you don't even question. But he is contingent. He is literally mortal by proxy, a god whose life bar is tied to a random old man's REM cycle. He is not evil. He is not even indifferent. He is just bound by a biological sleep schedule. His death proves that even the beings who manage reality can be turned off with something as small as a nudge and a cruel intention. There is sadness there, resignation, the exhaustion of someone who knew this might happen and still tried to make the universe a little softer with movies and pickles and friendly wishes. Jake grieves in his own elastic way, but you can feel it. The loss of a friend who made omnipotence feel like hanging out. Finn, who has already watched timelines fracture and reset, now has to process that the guy helping him navigate those fractures can simply stop existing. The cosmic owl still flies. Golb still looms. But the quiet editor in the booth has left. We're going to come back to how they fix this, but for now the question just hangs there. What does it mean for a multiverse when the being in charge of wishes and timelines can be erased like a dream you forget on waking? Rebooting a god, how Prismo comes back, and what it costs. So when Prismo blinks out, it feels like a door in the center of time slamming shut. The screens go dark. The couch is empty. You're left with this eerie silence where a cosmic roommate used to be, and the show just lets you sit in that absence for a moment. Then, in that specifically Adventure Time way, it immediately starts looking for a loophole. Let's start with the basic mechanic. Prismo is a dream. Dreams end. But dreams can also be restarted. Jake and Finn don't resurrect him by resurrecting the old man like a standard fantasy quest. They exploit the rules of the universe that define what a dream of Prismo even is. Here is the thing. If Prismo is the dream of one sleeping body, then a perfect copy of that body in a perfectly induced sleep should host the same dream. Not a sequel, not Prismo 2, the same Prismo, reinstantiated. So we get this almost absurd heist on metaphysics, time travel, alternate timelines, a cloned old man body. They literally manufacture a host and then tuck him back into bed so that the multiverse can have its pink wish guy again. It's clinical and tender at the same time. They're not just saving a friend, they're rebooting a process. Think about that for a second. Prismo's divinity is revealed to be a function call waiting for the right hardware. The show is cagey about whether this is the exact same old man from before, or a reset. Technically, the original dies, the replacement is grown or recovered from another timeline and put into an endless sleep. It looks the same, it behaves the same, it dreams the same. From Prismo's perspective, there is no gap. He remembers, he jokes, he lounges in his time room like nothing happened. But under the couch cushions of reality, the dreamer-host relationship has been swapped out like a battery. Same two-dimensional Prismo, new biological warranty. And that tells you something crucial about power in this universe. Even beings at the center of time are not above the system. They are the system. They can be hacked, repaired, reinitialized. Prismo is not a free-floating god. He's a cosmic service running on fragile hardware, subject to outages and emergency restarts performed by panicked dog adventurers. Once you see that, the time room stops feeling permanent. If its administrator can be deleted and restored from backup, then the stability of wishes starts to look more like version control. Every wish is still binding, but it's binding within an infrastructure that can crash. We're going to come back to what that means for all those alternate timelines. Farm World, the Lich's extinction wish, Simon's off-screen plea, but the important part here is that continuity itself is revealed as maintainable, not absolute. And if Prismo can die and boot back up from a cloned dreamer, what does that imply about the universe that contains him? About the cycles of destruction and rebirth we see in the finale? Maybe the multiverse is running on the same principle. Vast, cosmic processes that look eternal from inside, but from the outside are just one more dream that can be shut down and relaunched. The real question is, who or what is doing that reboot? Cosmic paperwork, abstracting the rules of Prismo's wish system. So if the multiverse can just be rebooted, if whole cycles of existence can be relaunched, like a laggy game, then you need someone to handle the ticket system. And that is where Prismo's wish rules stop feeling like cute narrative flavor and start feeling like cosmic paperwork. Here is the thing. The universe lets you file exactly one serious request. Let's start with the core policy. One wish per person per lifetime. No wishing for more wishes. No do-overs because you got nervous and mumbled. The wish has to be spoken clearly, and once it lands, Prismo is obligated to fulfill it literally, but not cruelly. He is not evil. He is not even indifferent. He is just bound by rules older than time itself. No direct takebacks either. You don't undo a wish. You only layer a new wish or a counter-wish on top of the old reality, like adding a new page to an already messy cosmic file. And then we get the edge cases, the weird forms that come across his metaphysical desk. The Lich wishes for all life to be extinct, and rather than erasing the main continuity, Prismo roots that desire into a separate timeline, a dead universe quarantined from the one we watch. Finn wishes that the Lich never existed, and suddenly we're in Farm World, a whole alternate reality branching off from one spoken sentence. But when Jake asks for something smaller, like getting back his old powers, the change folds into the existing timeline, a localized patch instead of a full fork. Same wish power, different scope of impact. It comes down to specificity. A broad, universe-level wish tends to create a fresh branch, a new timeline that can contain that massive alteration without shredding the main continuity. A targeted wish, focused on a person or an event, usually tweaks the current line of reality. Think about that for a second. The more vague and grand your desire, the more likely you are to wake up in a completely different existence. In this video, we're going to keep comparing Prismo to all the classic wish archetypes you know. He is not a genie trying to catch you in a verbal trap. He is not the monkey's paw waiting to twist your words into ironic punishment. He's closer to a very tired, very powerful clerk at the center of time, processing requests with perfect accuracy and absolutely no authority to say no. So Prismo becomes this cosmic bureaucrat. He didn't write the rules. He can't revise the forms. He just sits in his cozy prison, watching the multiverse on infinite screens, stamping reality with each wish, while knowing that a single sentence can fracture timelines, birth new universes, or quietly ruin one person's life. And once you understand that system, you start to see it everywhere. Every major time loop, every alternate dimension, every strange detour in Adventure Time's story is downstream of those procedures. We're going to use those rules as our decoder ring for everything that happens next. The Mushroom War, ground zero of a broken timeline. So if Prismo's rules are our decoder ring, the first message they decode is not cute, or cozy, or even particularly survivable. It's a mushroom cloud, a flash of light that turns the old Earth into a before and after. One world in one instant, and then, in the next, something else entirely. Let's start with the obvious. The Mushroom War is not a metaphorical conflict. It is a cataclysmic, likely nuclear war that actually happens in this universe, in this timeline, on this very planet. You see its fingerprints everywhere. In Ooh, broken skyscrapers jutting out of grassy hills, twisted highways buried under candy kingdoms, oceans where cities used to be. The geography is wrong, like the map has been shaken, torn, and then taped back together by someone who was only half paying attention. But the physical damage is almost the least of it. Because here is the thing, the Mushroom War doesn't just scorch the surface of reality, it pierces it. That blast is not only radiation and shockwave, it is a needle through the fabric of existence, punching holes in the rules that kept magic and science in separate corners. Think about that for a second. One war, one chain of terrible human decisions, and suddenly you have wizards and candy people and sentient video games walking around the ruins of your old shopping malls. In that specifically Adventure Time way, the apocalypse is also an origin story. The war mutates biology, but it also mutates probability. Mutant creatures, talking animals, vampires, candy elementals, even beings like the Lich, all grow in the soil of a planet that has been existentially irradiated. What used to be Earth is now the land of Ooh, not because someone renamed it, but because the underlying operating system of reality has been scrambled and then allowed to keep running. And that's why the Mushroom War becomes a temporal anchor. Everything we call modern Adventure Time happens in its shadow. Every flashback, every alternate history, every branch in the timeline has to answer one question. Did the Mushroom War happen here, or not? Farmworld exists because Finn wishes the Lich's influence away, and what he really does is nudge history at the war's edge, creating a universe where that blast plays out differently. Same event, different scar. On a larger scale, the war softens the universe for the cosmic entities circling above it. When reality is already cracked, beings like Prismo, Golb, the Cosmic Owl, and all the strange powers at the center of time find it easier to leave fingerprints. Prismo's wishes can redirect timelines because those timelines were already loosened at the Mushroom War. Golb can seep in because the barrier between dimensions has been thinned by that primordial disaster. Every wish we've talked about, every timeline we're going to visit, is layered over that scar tissue. The mushroom war is the wound. Ooh is the scab. The multiverse is everything that grew around it and refused to stop. And the next step is to follow those scars outward, into the dimensions and side universes that bloomed from that single terrible moment. Dimensions beyond Ooh, Nightosphere, Citadel, and other realms. So when we say the mushroom war blew a hole in reality, that hole doesn't just sit above Ooh like a storm cloud. It tunnels sideways, down, and diagonally into other realms, other dimensions, other flavors of existence that share the same cosmic scar. You close your eyes on the grassy hills of Ooh, but the multiverse is still humming just out of frame. Let's start with the loudest one, the Nightosphere. It's not just hell, but with dads. It's a dimension where the rules of morality are inverted into a kind of bureaucratic chaos, where suffering is both currency and entertainment, and where time feels elastic, stretched out into an endless, sweaty business trip. Gravity bends, corridors loop, and feelings get weaponized. Here is the thing. The Nightosphere isn't evil. It's just a universe optimized for a different kind of desire. Then you have the Citadel, bright and sterile, floating in a cosmic ocean. On paper, it's a prison for the worst beings in existence, but its real function is structural. It's like rebar inside the multiverse, holding dangerous timelines and entities in place so they don't crack the whole foundation. Time there feels slow, heavy, like every second has to pass a background check before it's allowed to exist. The power on display is less pew-pew and more, you will never leave this moment. Think about that for a second. Beyond that, the dead worlds stack like translucent pancakes, each one a different afterlife with its own physics and its own metaphysical customer service policy. Some are pastoral, some are bureaucratic, some are just doors. In the dead worlds, memory is a kind of gravity, pulling you toward whatever narrative you lived by. It's not one heaven or hell, it's a whole taxonomy of what happens when timelines end, but consciousness doesn't want to. Layered beside all this are the elemental realms: fire, ice, candy, slime. Each one is an exaggerated thesis statement about reality, where one property becomes the law. In the Fire Kingdom's deeper layers, everything burns, including the concept of subtlety. In the ice dimension, time feels frozen not just physically but emotionally, like the universe is stuck on one sad thought. Candy and slime bend causality toward comfort and entropy. In that specifically Adventure Time way, each realm is a joke and a cosmology at the same time. And then, hanging above all of this like a projector mounted to the ceiling of existence, is the Time Room. Prismo's pad is not just another stop on the dimensional tour. It's outside the usual stack, at the center of time, where every timeline is a channel and every universe is a tab you can accidentally close. He doesn't live in the Nightosphere, or the Citadel, or the Dead Worlds. He lives in the margins between them. Characters slip between these realms through portals, spells, cursed amulets, cosmic favors. Marceline rides a portal to visit her demon dad. Finn and Jake tumble into the Citadel on the back of a cosmic crime. Death drags souls into the Dead Worlds as casually as flipping a page. Every crossing complicates the idea of a single home reality. If you can commute between dimensions, which universe gets to claim you? And as we move toward the finale, those borders start to fray. Golb bleeds chaos into Ooh. Afterlives leak. Elemental realms overwrite the map. The multiverse stops behaving like a neat filing cabinet and starts behaving like a pile of papers in a storm. In this video, we're going to follow that storm back to the one place that can still see the pattern: the couch, the screens, and the Wishmaster waiting at the center of time. The cosmic owl, Golb, and the silent laws of the universe. And in that storm, there are shapes, not just raw chaos, but patterns wearing faces. One of the strangest, and somehow coziest, is a big owl with galaxy eyes who only visits you when you're not awake to argue with him. Let's start with the cosmic owl. In Adventure Time, he doesn't show up in every dream, only in the ones that matter. Prophetic dreams, fixed points. When you see him, reality is quietly taking notes. His presence means that what happens in that dream is stapled to the timeline, a moment destiny has circled in red ink. Think about that for a second. In a universe full of wish magic, time travel, and multiverse detours, the cosmic owl is the reminder that some events are not up for negotiation. Here is the thing. Even Prismo's power bends around those moments. Wishes can reroute how you arrive at a prophecy. They can soften it, delay it, express it through a parallel reality, but they rarely erase it. The show plays with this when Finn's prophetic dreams keep steering him toward the loss of his arm. Different routes, different universes, same essential fate. The cosmic owl doesn't force it with malice. He just shows up, and the universe quietly rearranges itself to make the dream come true. On the other side of the cosmic spectrum, you have Golb. No cozy symbolism, no polite dream etiquette. Golb is not a person in the way Prismo is. He is an embodiment. Destruction, chaos, entropy given horrible shape. When Golb appears, boundaries between dimensions melt. The citadel, even abstract spiritual realms start to blur like wet paint. His voice doesn't just scrape through reality, it dissolves the idea that there should be separate realities at all. Golb doesn't grant a wish, he grants endings. The end of structures, the end of meaning, the end of the quiet assumption that the multiverse will keep politely following its own rules. Where the cosmic owl marks inevitabilities within a timeline, Golb attacks the concept of a stable timeline itself, and this is where their orbits brush against Prismo's. All three operate on a similar altitude, far above Oo's daily adventures, but they embody different laws. Prismo is choice and wish fulfillment, the editable layer of reality. The cosmic owl is fate, the non-editable layer. Golb is entropy, the delete key held down. When they touch Ooh, you can feel those laws grinding against each other. A prophetic dream insists something must happen. A wish tries to route around it. Golb's presence threatens to make the argument irrelevant by shredding the stage. We're going to use that tension to see Prismo more clearly. He isn't the architect of the universe. He's one node in a vast, conflicting network of cosmic procedures. Above him, unnamed bosses, ancient rules, the silent logic of fate. Beside him, beings like the cosmic owl and Golb, enforcing their own agendas without ever asking what he desires. He can rewrite timelines, but he can't cancel prophecy. He can sidestep destruction, but not erase entropy forever. There is sadness there, resignation, the loneliness of someone who can see every law of existence running at once, and knows he is just one clause in a contract the universe wrote long before he sat down on that couch at the center of time. Loops, echoes, and fixed points. How time resists being changed. So when Prismo says he can't cancel prophecy, that's not just him being dramatic on his little cosmic couch. That's time itself talking through him. Time has opinions. Time has habits. Time has this weird, stubborn personality that keeps nudging events back into place, even when reality has technically been rewritten. Let's start with one of the clearest examples, Finn trying to escape his own fate. In the Puhoi Pillow world, he lives an entire alternate lifetime, grows old, has kids, dies peacefully, and yet when he snaps back to Ooh, the emotional arc still lands in the same direction. He learns to accept loss. Different timeline, different details, same core lesson. Think about that for a second. An entire universe spun up like a dream sequence, and the moral coordinates do not budge. Or look at Shoko, Finn's past life. She fails to deliver the Enchiridion, loses her arm and dies in the moat. Centuries later, Finn finds the same robotic arm, in the same castle, in the same narrative position. and it becomes his replacement arm. Cause and effect have been scrambled across reincarnations, but the moment a Finn loses an arm and gains power from that loss, keeps reappearing like a fixed star in the multiverse. Here is the thing. Adventure Time plays with branching timelines, but it also quietly insists on fixed points. The Lich uses his wish to erase all life, and Prismo responds not by overwriting the main continuity, but by shunting that desire into Farm World. New timeline, new Earth, new Finn with a hat that is somehow even more chaotic. But the Lich's core role as an avatar of extinction, preserved, he still drags reality toward nothingness, just on a different branch. That's how Prismo's power works at the center of time. He's not editing a single master tape. He's adding new tracks to an already infinite playlist. Every wish is a branch, not a replacement. The original timeline keeps running. The consequences still exist somewhere. The universe never actually forgets. And then there's the cosmic owl, drifting through dream space like a compliance officer for fate. When he appears in a character's dream, that image is a prophecy, and the show treats those moments as non-negotiable. You can dodge, delay, misinterpret, but you usually end up walking right into the pose you saw while you were asleep. It's as if the universe prefers certain outcomes and sends the owl to file the paperwork. So yes, we're going to talk about branching realities and wish power. But underneath all that, time in Adventure Time behaves like a passive-aggressive roommate. You can move the furniture, you can repaint the walls, somehow the couch keeps sliding back to the same spot. And if that's true, then what happens when someone finally tries to move the entire house? Elements and reality reskins. When magic rewrites the world, so what happens when someone doesn't just move the couch, but repaints the entire universe in pastels, snow, slime, and fire? Let's start with elements. After years of wobbling between apocalypse and recovery, elemental magic wakes up and decides reality needs a hard reset. Patient Saint Pym, the ancient ice elemental, helps trigger a chain reaction where the four primal elements of ooh, candy, ice, slime, and fire burst out of balance. Overnight, the world fractures into four themed realities. Candy Kingdom expands into a saccharine empire. Fire Kingdom becomes an endless inferno. Slime takes over the seas, and ice turns the rest into a frozen, glittering mausoleum. It isn't just scenery. Personalities melt and refreeze. People you know are rewritten. Finn becomes a relentlessly positive candy hero. Jake slumps into a chill slime dude, and almost everyone else is assimilated into their local element. The rules of existence change. Candy people regenerate instead of really dying. Slime bodies stretch and reform like they're made of sentient yogurt. Physics bends around aesthetic. Desire itself gets recolored. When you're candy, you don't want freedom, you want safety and sweetness. Think about that for a second. The universe doesn't just look different, it wants different outcomes. Here is the thing. This is not a new timeline. Prismo isn't in the time room making a neat little branching file labeled Candy Apocalypse AU. Elements is the original ooh, aggressively reskinned in place. No cut, no copy, just overwrite. Where Prismo's big wishes usually fork reality. Farm world here, main timeline there, elemental magic brute forces the existing timeline settings. Same save file, new game mode. That contrast matters. Prismo edits from above, outside, lounging at the center of time, offering you one carefully constrained wish that might spawn a whole alternate universe. Elemental magic edits from within, through ancient forces baked into the world's code. One is a cosmic sysadmin changing permissions. The other is the operating system glitching into a themed update no one requested. Both have power. Both are terrifying. Neither asks for consent. And yet, in that specifically Adventure Time way, the show plays it as dreamy and weird and almost cozy. Candy brainwashing comes with hugs. Ice domination looks like a quiet, sparkling sleep. Slime assimilation is basically a gross spa day. It's horrifying if you zoom in, strangely soothing if you watch it from far enough away. Pattern interrupt. You are watching a magical mass personality rewrite, and it's scored like a chill hangout episode. All of this expands the multiverse without touching Prismo's remote. Reality is malleable from multiple angles now. Wishes, magic, cosmic entities, all with editing privileges over existence. And somewhere, outside the frosting and frostbite, the time room is still there, humming softly, every version of Ooh, pre-war, post-war, candyified, restored, flickering on Prismo's screens at once. We're going to drift back to him soon, because even when magic rewrites the world, he's the one who can sit on his cosmic couch and watch every rewrite play out in real time. Finn's emotional timeline, growing up across universes, and on one of those screens, in the glow of Prismo's cosmic TV wall, there's a constant, a human boy in a funny hat, growing up at the speed of time while universes flicker like channels. Finn is the through line, the mortal heartbeat pulsing under all this metaphysical noise. Let's start with him as we first really meet him, the eager hero of early Ooh, sprinting into danger with a sword too big for his body and a certainty even bigger than that. Problems are dragons to slay, dungeons to clear, princesses to rescue. Reality feels simple, time feels like a straight line. If something breaks, you punch it until it's fixed. Or you wish it fixed, if you're lucky enough to stumble into the center of time and meet a pink wishmaster on a couch. Here is the thing. Finn's emotional timeline is basically the control group for the multiverse. As he ages into that messy, conflicted teenager, the universe keeps throwing him at timelines designed to stress test his idea of heroism. Farm World Finn, born from a wish that the Mushroom War never happened, grows up in a frozen apocalypse with a missing arm and a gun instead of a sword. He's still brave, still driven, but warped by scarcity and fear. The Finn who glimpses alternate futures with Prismo sees versions of himself who never move past vengeance, or who never move past comfort. Different timelines, same core arc echoing through existence. Every time he steps into Prismo's time room, the emotional stakes quietly escalate. The first big wish, undoing the Lich by preventing the war, looks like pure power. Rewrite history, save everyone. But the result is not a clean fix. It's a branching universe, a farm world that now has to bear the weight of that desire. Think about that for a second. Finn's attempt to control reality doesn't erase suffering, it redistributes it. He learns, slowly, that a wish is not a reset button, it's a responsibility. That realization keeps deepening. Losing his arm in the main timeline, facing the Citadel, confronting his father's selfishness, watching the Lich turn back into a baby. These are emotional turning points tied directly to time and consequence. He can't unpunch his dad. He can't unmake the trauma of the Mushroom War. Even when he meets beings like the Cosmic Owl or brushes against Golb's annihilation field, the lesson repeats. Some wounds are historical, structural, baked into the universe in ways no single hero can untangle. By the time Finn is a more reflective young adult, his power has grown, but his certainty has shrunk. He still fights, but he also listens. He negotiates with monsters, befriends former enemies, and accepts that some realities, like Fern's fractured existence, can only be mourned, not repaired. His relationship to time shifts from "how do I fix this" to "how do I live with what has happened, and what will happen next?" And that evolution is how the show grounds its wild metaphysics. You can have a multiverse, a center of time, cosmic wish rules, and branching timelines, but it all lands because we're watching one kid learn that growing up means making peace with limits. We're going to follow that lesson out even further, into the beings for whom time barely exists at all, and see how their arcs bend, or break, under the same weight of consequence. Jake's chill philosophy. Acceptance in a multiverse of chaos. So while Finn is out here trying to arm wrestle destiny into submission, Jake is lying on the same couch, in the same universe, staring at the same ceiling, and making peace with the fact that the ceiling is eventually going to fall down. That contrast is the quiet engine under so many of their time adventures, even when the episode is just framed as a joke. Let's start with how Jake looks on the surface. He's lazy. He naps through quests. He forgets the rules of cosmic artifacts. He uses his shape-shifting power to make his butt bigger instead of, rewriting reality. He is not the kid drawing charts about the multiverse on the wall. But here is the thing. That laid-back, go-with-the-flow attitude is not just immaturity. It's a philosophy of acceptance dressed up in a stretchy yellow dog. Think about that for a second. When Finn finally gets to Prismo's time room, standing at the center of time with the literal power to alter existence, he wishes for a world where the Mushroom War never happened. Huge, tragic, noble. Jake walks in later. Same cosmic interface. Same infinite timelines flickering on the screens. And what does he wish for? A perfect, ridiculous, immaculate sandwich. It reads as a joke. It reads as laziness. But inside this universe of fractured timelines and permanent consequences, Jake is quietly saying, I'm not going to fix everything. I'm going to enjoy this one moment I can actually taste. His whole deal is that he doesn't fight impermanence. He hangs out with it. He knows that Ooo is built on ruins, that time loops back on itself, that wishes branch the multiverse instead of cleaning it up. And instead of spiraling, he shrugs, cracks a joke, and asks what's for lunch. He is not evil. He is not even indifferent. He is just refusing the illusion that if he worries hard enough, he can control every timeline. You see it most clearly with Prismo. Finn treats the time room like a sacred altar to second chances. Jake treats it like a sleepover with a cosmic roommate. They watch movies, they snack. Jake meets a two-dimensional wishmaster who exists as a dream outside reality, and his first instinct is not awe or terror, it's, this guy seems chill. In that specifically Adventure Time way, the universe throws them into contact with godlike power, and Jake responds the same way he responds to a new game console. And that attitude does something crucial for Finn. It keeps him from drowning. When Finn is consumed by regret over Farm World, or obsessed with undoing a mistake, Jake is the ballast. He is the one saying, yeah, time is broken, the multiverse is wild, but we're still here, dude. Let's make a sandwich. He doesn't deny the cosmic stakes. He just refuses to live only at their scale. In this video, we're going to keep zooming out into beings for whom centuries are nap breaks, but Jake quietly models the healthiest response to a chaotic reality. Accept that you can't fix the universe and love the moment you're in. The question is, what happens when even that chill philosophy is tested by an entity that wants to erase existence itself? Prismo's loneliness, the quiet cost of infinite perspective. So we zoom all the way out to cosmic scales, and then we land on a couch. A saggy, well-loved couch floating at the center of time, where reality looks like a wall of infinite TV channels, and the universe's fate is negotiated between sips of juice and bites of pickles. Let's start in the time room on a normal day, which is to say, an eternity disguised as a lazy afternoon. Prismo is there, two-dimensional and glowing, sprawled on his sofa, scrolling through timelines like you scroll through shows you'll never actually watch. He's watching movies from 1,000 universes, snacking from that iconic pickle jar, occasionally pausing to grant a wish that will fracture reality into a fresh timeline, and then going right back to background viewing. This is his whole existence. No commute, no weekends, just an endless hang in a room outside the multiverse. Here is the thing. Almost nobody visits. For someone who can rewrite existence with a sentence, Prismo is weirdly, painfully unpopular. Most beings in Ooo will never even know he exists, and the ones who do only show up when they want something. one wish per person per lifetime, in and out, transactional. That's why when Finn and Jake just drop by to chill, you can feel him light up. He's suddenly hosting, making snacks, putting on movies. The energy shifts from cosmic civil servant to guy finally having friends over. Think about that for a second. An entity who can see every timeline is excited that someone wants to watch TV on his couch. And yet, for all that power, his existence hangs on the thinnest thread. Somewhere, in a boring little room in regular reality, an old man is asleep. Prismo is that dream. If the old man wakes up, the time room blinks out, the wish queue disappears, and Prismo is gone. He can warp time, but not his own dependence. He can grant a universe, but not grant himself a body that isn't someone else's unconscious side project. There is tension there, dependence, a quiet terror humming under the jokes, because the jokes are a shield. The laid-back, whatever man vibe. The dry commentary on apocalypses and lich-level threats. The way he plays off danger like it's a mildly annoying ad break. There is loneliness there. Resignation. The fear that if the visits stop, if the old man stirs, he will wake up into nothing, or worse, never have been real at all. And this is where he becomes strangely relatable. You, lying awake at night, scrolling through your own tiny wall of screens, feeling like everyone else is off in some other timeline where they belong. We're going to say Prismo is like your cosmic roommate, always awake, always on, quietly hoping someone will call just to talk, not to make a wish. As we move deeper into how his wishes reshape reality, keep that image in mind. Infinite perspective and a single aching desire not to be alone at the center of time. Being imagined versus being real, does Prismo exist without witnesses? So here is the thing. If Prismo is your cosmic roommate at the center of time, always awake and waiting, we have to ask the uncomfortable question: what happens when everyone goes home? When the screens dim, the calls stop, and the only sound in the universe is an old man breathing in his sleep in some forgotten room? Does Prismo still exist in any way that matters? In Adventure Time, Prismo is literally a dream. Not metaphorically, not poetically. He is the ongoing dream of that old man, projected out into a pocket dimension that floats outside the multiverse. Wake the dreamer, and the time room pops like a soap bubble. No more couch, no more pickle jar, no more Wishmaster. Just an old guy, blinking, with no memory of the cosmic power he was unconsciously sustaining. Think about that for a second. Philosophers have argued for centuries about whether objects exist when no one observes them. The classic example is a tree falling in a forest. Here, the show gives you something stranger. A being who only exists because someone is not observing him. The old man is not watching Prismo. He is not relating to him. He is just asleep, and that absence of awareness is the engine of Prismo's existence. Consciousness as a kind of cosmic screensaver. But then we have Finn and Jake, and this is where it gets weird in that specifically Adventure Time way. To them, Prismo is not an unconscious side effect. He is a friend. He hangs out, makes noodles, plays movies, bends reality to help them. For the dreamer, Prismo is nothing. For Finn and Jake, he's one of the most emotionally real entities in the universe. So who is Prismo more real to? The body that generates him, or the people who remember him, miss him, and grieve him when he's gone? We're going to lean into that for a moment, because the show quietly does. When Prismo dies, the time room collapses, but his relationships do not. Jake's grief, Finn's determination, even the way other cosmic beings talk about Prismo as a colleague, all of that behaves like an anchor in the multiverse, a set of emotional coordinates that reality keeps trying to snap back to. Not physical power, relational gravity. And here is the pattern interrupt. Right now, as you listen, you are part of that gravity. You're picturing the pink two-dimensional outline on the couch, the wall of timelines, the lazy, friendly voice offering you one wish. In this video, your imagination is another time room, another layer of reality where Prismo is awake, talking, existing. As you drift towards sleep, you quietly join Finn, Jake, and every other timeline that refuses to let him vanish completely. So if Prismo is a dream, and a memory and a character you're holding in your mind, maybe existence in this universe is not a simple on or off switch. Maybe it's a network of attention. Next, we'll see what happens when that network has to carry the weight of wishes that can fracture entire timelines. Section break in the time stream. A soft reset and recenter. So now, for a moment, pull the camera off of Ooh and turn it back on yourself. You've been drifting through wishes and wars and cosmic bachelor pads for a while now, and your body has noticed. Maybe your eyes feel heavier. Maybe your breathing has slowed down into that soft, automatic rhythm, like you've been napping in the time room's beanbag chair this whole time. Let's start by just noticing that. You, here, in your own little pocket dimension of blankets and pillows, while we've been talking about the center of time and the fragility of existence, your nervous system has been quietly downshifting, running its own invisible ritual of do I really need to be awake for this? And here is the thing, you actually don't, not all the way. Because look at where we've already been. We watched the Lich speak a wish that tried to erase life from the universe, and watched Prismo reroute that desire sideways into Farm World, spawning an entire alternate timeline just to keep existence going. We followed Finn and Jake through that frozen branch of reality, watched Prismo die when his dreamer woke up, and then watched him return, not with fireworks, but with the quiet inevitability of a memory you refuse to let go of. We floated backward through the Mushroom War, past the blast that shattered Earth and accidentally fertilized Ooh, and we've brushed against cosmic entities like the Cosmic Owl, Golb, and the Lich, all tugging on different threads of fate and entropy. That is a lot for a cartoon. For a brain that is also trying to fall asleep. So if you've lost track of which wish made which universe, or how many timelines are hanging off Prismo's couch like tangled controller cables, that's fine. That's expected. Think about that for a second. Even Prismo, at the center of time, mostly treats the multiverse like background TV. You are allowed to let details blur into a vibe. In this video, we're going to keep giving you the broad shapes, the emotional arcs, the feeling of floating from screen to screen, more than a quiz on continuity. The point is that sensation of being unmoored from a single linear timeline, of realizing that reality in Adventure Time is this elastic, shimmering field, where every wish leaves a ripple. So picture Prismo now, remote in hand, flipping through his infinite wall of episodes. He pauses, looks over at you, and in that specifically Adventure Time way, he's both a cosmic wishmaster and a chill friend asking, "You good for one more?" It's not pressure, it's a soft reset, a chance to recenter before he queues up the next universe. We're going to follow him as he clicks into the really big picture next. Not just a single wish, or a single broken Earth, but the end and rebirth of entire universes, the cycles where reality itself dies, composts and grows back into something new. If you're awake, you can trace the patterns. If you're asleep, you can just drift along as the multiverse quietly turns the page. The end of the universe, cycles of destruction and rebirth. So let's start at the quietest apocalypse Adventure Time ever gives you. No Lich, no Mushroom War, just time moving forward until even Finn and Jake are myths, then legends, then nothing at all. And Ooh is gone. The finale jumps so far ahead that the grass has forgotten their names. New kingdoms rise, new people live whole lives, and the universe itself drifts towards its last inhale. What you see in that distant future is not a dramatic explosion, not a cruel erasure, but a gentle cosmic dissolve. The sky purples, the The stars lean in, and existence thins out like breath on a cold window. And then, in that specifically Adventure Time way, the camera doesn't cling to the loss. It pivots. It shows you a new universe blooming out of the old, like a soap bubble forming on the ruins of another bubble, still wet with the memory of what was. Here is the thing. That one image quietly rewrites the scale of everything you've watched. Because if this universe can end, and another can rise, why would it stop at one cycle? The implication is an infinite sequence of universes, each with its own history, its own lich, its own heroes, its own bizarre breakfast kingdoms, playing out across an endless multiverse. Somewhere beyond that, you can almost imagine more time rooms, more Prismo-like overseers at the center of time, each lounging in their own cosmic bachelor pad, following their own rules, watching their own timelines like late-night television. Think about that for a second. Farmworld is already one alternate timeline born from a single wish. The Citadel, the Nightosphere, all these dimensions are just side rooms off one main corridor of reality. Now zoom out again. The finale says the corridor itself is temporary. Whole universes become episodes in a bigger, unreadable season order, and you've only seen one. This could feel nihilistic. Your favorite timeline? Just one iteration. Finn's growth, Marceline's healing, Simon's long walk back from madness. All of it destined to be swept into cosmic compost. But the tone is not despair. It is strangely hopeful. The show lingers on continuity, not on loss. Life keeps inventing itself. Desire keeps reappearing. Love, fear, power, friendship, all the same chords played on new instruments. The universe dies, and the universe gets another turn. And that raises a softer, weirder question. Do the cycles remember? When a new universe blossoms out of the old, are there faint echoes of past realities baked into its physics, like déjà vu in the laws of time? Maybe that's why certain motifs recur. Dogs who are guardians, boys with swords, wishmasters in cozy prisons at the edge of existence. Not copies, not destiny. Just the multiverse humming the same cosmic song again, a melody so good that reality can't help but play variations on it, forever. We're going to follow that melody next, into the question of what, if anything, truly survives these resets. Identity, love, or just the shape of a dream. Echoes across cycles. Do Finn and Jake exist more than once? So when we say the multiverse keeps humming that same cosmic song, we have to ask the quietly terrifying question, does that mean Finn and Jake keep showing up too? Not these Finn and Jake, not the ones you've watched grow and break and heal, but echoes, rhymes, new verses of the same relationship written on fresh, fragile reality. Here is the thing. Adventure Time already shows you this in miniature. Farmworld Finn is not our Finn, but he's carrying the same basic outline, the same desire to protect, the same gravitational pull towards a sword, and a responsibility he never really asked for. Shoko, Finn's past life analog, is another sketch of that archetype. Drawn in different trauma, different choices, same core silhouette, different timeline, same melody. And Jake? You see his shape recur in more abstract ways. There are stretchy protean beings all over this universe. Shapeshifters, demons, even Prismo himself, a two-dimensional smear of light lounging at the center of time, bending reality the way Jake bends his body. He is not a dog, he is not a brother, but he fills that same role in the cosmic architecture. The laid-back guide, the one who makes unbearable power feel domestic. Think about that for a second. We're going to lean on visuals for a moment, because the show does too. Round-headed boys with simple faces. Big, circular eyes that look at the universe with this mix of fear and wonder. Little swords that are way too small for the scale of the threats they're pointed at. The same hero silhouette, over and over, even when the background changes from post-apocalyptic grasslands to icy ruins to star-washed cosmic voids. You get recurring symbols: the comet, the sword, the crown, the wish. You get recurring dynamics: the anxious hero and the relaxed partner, the guardian and the chaos entity, the mortal and the cosmic. These are fixed points, not in the sense that the exact same people are copy-pasted across timelines, but in that specifically Adventure Time way where relationships and struggles are treated like fundamental forces, as real as gravity or Golb. So in one universe it's Finn and Jake on a couch, watching movies with Prismo. In another, it might be some future kid and their weird familiar, standing on the bones of Ooh, making the same impossible choice about power and desire. The names change, the outfits change, the emotional math doesn't. That's what makes the story feel both finite and infinite. This Finn story ends, this Jake grows old, there is a last adventure, a last hug, a last dumb joke. But the pattern, the hero who wants to do good, the friend who makes it bearable, the wish that threatens to rewrite everything, that pattern keeps resurfacing every time the universe cools down enough to tell stories again. And from Prismo's vantage point, if he could see not just timelines but cycles, you can imagine his wall of screens turning into an endless anthology of Finns and not Finns, Jakes and not Jakes, playing variations on courage, fear, and temptation. He is not watching reruns. He is watching reincarnations of a theme. Which raises one last unnerving question as you drift off. If the pattern is what survives, then what happens when a wish finally breaks even that? Prismo as the show's thesis: choice, consequence, and comfort. Here is the thing. Once you realize the pattern is what survives, you also realize someone has been watching that pattern the whole time. Not death, not the Lich, a pink, two-dimensional guy on a couch at the center of time, eating pickles and quietly witnessing the multiverse reinvent Finn and Jake over and over again. Prismo, more than any other cosmic in Adventure Time, is the show's thesis made into a person. He is the embodiment of the question, how much control do you actually have? Every wish that passes through the time room is a test case. Finn wishing the Lich never existed, the Lich wishing for the extinction of all life, Jake's casual, goofy desires, Simon's unseen, probably selfless wish. Each one presses against the same boundary. Your desire can bend a timeline, but it can't erase that there was a choice, and there will be consequences. Let's start with his rules, because they're weirdly honest about how reality works. 1 wish per person per lifetime. No wishing for more wishes. No takebacks. Prismo can branch a timeline into Farm World instead of overwriting the main one, but he can't scrub the original decision out of existence. Time doesn't unhappen, it just forks. Think about that for a second. That's basically real life, just without the cosmic UI. You don't get to go back to before you said the thing, before you left, before you stayed. You only get new branches that grow out of what you already did. He is not evil. He is not even indifferent. He is just bound by rules older than the universe itself. Prismo's power is enormous, but it's procedural. He is a cosmic civil servant of desire. He can twist reality, but only in response to what someone clearly asks for, which means the real danger is never him. It's us. Our clarity. Our confusion. Our belief that if we just had enough power, we could skip the hard part of living with ourselves. And then there's the loneliness. Prismo lives outside reality, in a dimension that is literally his own existence as a dream. Infinite screens, infinite timelines, and yet he lights up when Finn and Jake drop by to hang out. That is not an accident. That is the show quietly admitting that the only way you survive an overwhelming, branching, indifferent multiverse is through small, specific friendships, a cosmic being at the center of time, desperate for movie night. If you tilt the whole series so you're looking from Prismo's couch, Adventure Time becomes a long, looping lesson in how to live with impermanence and uncertainty. Worlds end in mushroom wars, universes reset, Timelines fracture into farm worlds and beyond. Heroes die, reincarnate, or just drift away. And reality keeps going. We're going to see again and again that no wish fixes that. At best, a wish gives you a different version of the same lesson. And that's why Prismo is not just a character. He's a comforting narrative device. A cosmic friend, literally outside the story, watching the chaos with you. He can't stop every disaster. He can't guarantee a happy ending in every universe. But he's there, at the center of time, making popcorn while existence spirals and resets, offering you a couch, a blanket, and the quiet reassurance that someone is paying attention as everything changes, which sets up one last question for where we're heading next. If even the Wishmaster can't escape consequence and loss, what does it actually mean to make peace with a universe that never stops changing? Between power and vulnerability, returning to our first wish. So now we circle back to that first quiet apocalypse. Finn standing in the time room, the Lich's wish echoing in the walls, and this kid blurting out, "I wish the Lich never existed." The sentence falls into the center of time like a stone into a still lake. No lightning, no choir, just Prismo, a pink smear on a couch, saying, "Okay." Back when you first watched it, it can feel simple. Lich gone, problem solved. Roll credits. But here is the thing. After everything we've walked through, the branching timelines, farm world, the invisible bureaucracy behind every wish, you can see the invisible machinery whirring behind that moment. Prismo doesn't rewind a single universe. He shunts Finn sideways into a brand new timeline, a reality where the Lich never existed because the Mushroom War never created him. Farm world is not a fix, it's a parallel consequence. If you watch it now with all of that in your head, Finn's wish stops being heroic and starts being painfully human. He isn't asking for justice. He's asking to erase a wound, to delete fear itself from the universe like a bad save file. And the rules do not say, "Are you sure?" The rules say, "One wish, clearly spoken, granted literally." No moral veto. No emotional safety net. Prismo, in that moment, is the perfect embodiment of power and vulnerability fused together. He can snap reality into a new shape, generate an entire multiverse branch, rewrite the history of Earth with a shrug. He is not evil. He is not even indifferent. He is just bound by procedures older than time itself. He can move Finn, Jake, and an entire version of existence into Farm World. But he cannot shield Farm World Finn from a lifetime of different pains, different losses, different scars. Think about that for a second. By removing one monster, Finn unintentionally creates a world where his dad is alive but broken, where ice crowns and nuclear winters still loom, where suffering doesn't disappear. It just changes flavor. The desire to erase pain collides with a universe that only knows how to transform it. In that specifically Adventure Time way, the wish is granted, the lesson is not. And Prismo is right there, watching it unfold on his infinite screens. Powerful enough to press the cosmic enter key on Finn's wish, powerless to sit beside Farm World Finn when everything falls apart. He can offer a blanket on his couch, but not a guarantee that anyone will be happier in the new timeline he just spun into being. This is where the show quietly reaches out of the screen toward you, because you have your own "I wish that never happened" moments, those late-night edits you'd love to make to your past. We're going to be honest. Adventure Time's answer is gentle, but it isn't wish fulfillment. It leans toward acceptance over erasure. Not because the universe is fair, but because every do-over fractures reality into unknowable consequences. So as you're lying there, maybe letting your breathing slow, you can almost treat Prismo's time room like a guided meditation. You don't have to forgive everything. You don't have to like what happened. But you also don't have to follow Finn into every alternate universe your regrets can imagine. You can just notice them, let them pass across your inner screen, and stay on the couch. And yet, there is still one more layer tucked behind that wish, one more secret about how the universe handles regret and change that we haven't unfolded yet. Letting the clock keep ticking. Emotional takeaways from a broken timeline. And that's where Adventure Time does something quietly radical with time. It doesn't fix the timeline, it just lets the clock keep ticking. Here is the thing. In this universe, time is not a boss fight you win. It's not a puzzle you perfectly solve. It's a river, branching and looping and evaporating into the multiverse, while you, me, Finn, Jake, even Prismo, are just learning how to float without drowning in every possible regret. Think about that for a second. The center of time is literally a chill couch in a cosmic studio apartment, not a war room. Finn learns this the hard way. He tries to wish away the Mushroom War to rewrite reality so the Lich never rises, and what he gets is Farm World, a whole new timeline with its own pain, its own beauty, its own frightened version of himself holding a sword he doesn't understand. The universe doesn't punish him, it just multiplies the consequences. Not cruel, not kind, just honest about how power behaves when it brushes against time. Jake, who can stretch across dimensions and punch through portals, ends up doing something far more difficult than any cosmic smackdown. He accepts. He accepts that his dad left mysteries he'll never solve, that his own future is finite, that sometimes the best use of power is to make sandwiches with your brother, while universes implode very politely in the background. He is not apathetic. He is not enlightened. He is just someone who has stopped trying to wrestle the river. And Prismo, lounging in the time room, is the gentlest example. He can rewrite existence with a sentence, but he can't wish himself free, can't wake his own dreamer, can't escape the rules that define his reality. So he leans into resigned kindness. He makes the wishes as painless as he can. He hangs movie posters on the walls of eternity. He turns a cosmic prison at the center of time into a place where you could actually fall asleep. We're going to sit with that for a moment, because it's the emotional spine of this broken timeline. The show never says you were wrong to want to change things. It just shows that every wish is a fork in the river, not a rewind button. You don't get to unmake the old current, you just add a new one. That means it's okay that you have made choices you can't unwish. The argument Adventure Time makes, in that specifically Adventure Time way, is that those choices don't disqualify you from beauty or connection. Farm World Finn still finds family. Simon, shattered by time and crowns and cosmic interference, still finds a way back to himself. Even universes that end become compost for new realities. So as you lie here, with your own private time room glowing behind your eyelids, you don't have to audit every timeline you might have created. You can let them drift. Notice the regret. Notice the desire to go back. Then, like Prismo changing channels, you can gently click away. Because the river is still moving, the clock is still ticking, and you are allowed to float. And yet, beneath that calm surface, there is one more secret about how this universe recycles endings into beginnings. One more pattern in the way timelines die and are reborn that we still haven't traced. You, the listener, as a cosmic entity, watching your own timelines. So let's start with you here, right now, lying in the dark while the universe keeps recycling itself just off screen. The river is moving, the clock is ticking, and somewhere at the center of time, Prismo is on his couch, watching it all unfold like late-night television. But here is the thing. In that specifically Adventure Time way, you are not just in the show, you are also the one watching it. Close your eyes, if they aren't already, and imagine your own time room. Not grand, not terrifying. Maybe it looks like your bedroom, but stretched out into a quiet, cosmic lounge. The ceiling is a soft, endless night sky. The walls are lined with screens, each one playing a different timeline of your life. The day you actually had, the day you wished you'd had, the day that only exists as a faint, sleepy what-if. Think about that for a second. Every regret, every alternate choice, every path you didn't walk, existing as a little glowing universe, you can just watch. You don't have to fix any of them. That is the rule here. You're not here to go back and rewrite your existence like a careless wish that fractures reality. You are here as a witness, as a quiet cosmic entity, looking at the multiverse of yourself with the same lazy affectionate distance that Prismo has when Finn and Jake show up asking for impossible power. You see the version of you who said yes instead of no, the version who stayed, the version who left, and you just let them exist. Because when you lie in bed replaying the day, you are already doing a tiny homemade version of what happens in the time room. You scrub back through time, rewatching conversations, imagining better lines, worse outcomes, stranger universes where you made a different choice and everything spiraled. It feels personal. It feels sharp. But from your imaginary couch at the center of time, it softens. The scenes become episodes. The episodes become channels, and you are allowed to change the channel without punishing yourself for what's on. We're going to treat this like self-compassion disguised as cosmic law. Instead of being the desperate wishmaker, you get to be your own wishmaster. Not the kind that grants paradoxical rewinds or farm world-level timeline splits, but the gentler kind, who grants small mercies. The wish to let today be over. The wish to forgive the version of you who didn't know better yet. The wish to let that one embarrassing moment drift into the background hum of the universe, instead of replaying in 4K. Notice how the pacing in your mind can slow down, the way the show sometimes pulls back from apocalyptic stakes to linger on a quiet, domestic shot in ooh. Screen by screen, you dim the timelines. You let the brightest regrets fade to a soft afterglow. You do not erase them, you just stop flooding them with power. And as you sit there, watching your own multiverse calm down, you might feel an odd, quiet truth that even your wrong timelines belong. They are part of the pattern that leads here. And from that calm, from that private time room you've built behind your eyelids, we can finally look at one more secret baked into Adventure Time's reality. What happens when even universes like these are allowed to end? And why that ending is never quite the end. The time room as a bedtime metaphor, safe outside the story. And from that calm, from that private time room you've built behind your eyelids, we can actually go there, not metaphorically for a second, but as a guided daydream. Imagine the real time room, floating at the center of time, outside the multiverse, a pocket cut out of reality where cause and effect take a coffee break and watch TV. Let's start with the sound. There's this low, constant hum, like every universe is a refrigerator in the next room. You don't see them directly. You feel them. Millions of timelines stacked up just beyond the walls, buzzing with possibility. On the screens, ooh flickers, farm world flickers, some timeline where the mushroom war never happened flickers. But the volume is low, the drama is muted, it's all happening, and it's all very far away. In the middle of that cosmic bachelor pad, there's the couch. You can feel yourself sink into it now. Not as an observer of a cartoon, but as if Adventure Time has turned around and is now watching you. The cushions remember the shape of anyone who's ever sat here. Finn, Jake, the Lich, you. There's the soft glow of the TV, the jar on the table, the impossible windows looking out on pure existence. Here is the thing. From this room, nothing can really hurt you. You are outside the story. Outside the battles, outside the wishes that go wrong, outside the rules that bind Prismo to his job. You are just watching, breathing, existing. Think about that for a second. Every disaster you've seen in this universe and others is on the screen, not in your body. And that is exactly what your bed is doing right now. The blankets around you are your time room walls. The hum of distant cars, or a fan, or the quiet of the night is your background multiverse noise. The glow of your screen or the darkness behind your eyelids Is your TV at the center of time? The world's problems are still out there, sure, but they are on a channel you don't have to turn up. In this video, we're going to talk a lot about power and desire and cosmic responsibility, but you don't have to hold any of that right now. Like Prismo on his couch, you are allowed to just be here. You don't have to fix ooh. You don't have to fix your own timeline. You can let the universes run their course while you simply watch them drift by. We're going to repeat that gently, because your brain likes to argue. You don't have to solve anything right now. Not the past, not the future, not even the imaginary problems of animated people in a fictional apocalypse. You can observe, you can breathe, you can let time flow without intervention. And in that specifically Adventure Time way, the joke is that doing nothing for a while is actually the most radical move. The cosmic entities can scramble reality, the Lich can whisper extinction, wishes can fracture timelines, and you? You can choose to stay on the couch, wrapped in blankets, safe outside the story, as we glide toward how even endings in this universe are just another kind of beginning, softly closing the multiverse, a final lore recap in a whisper. So as you stay on that couch in your head, blankets pulled up, let's start to gently dim the multiverse we've been wandering through. Not with a bang, not with a golb scream tearing reality apart, but with a slow fade, like Prismo turning down the brightness on one of his infinite screens. Here is the thing. All of this, everything we've talked about, keeps circling that cozy, impossible room at the center of time. Prismo, a two-dimensional glow on a couch, watching every timeline at once. The time room, floating outside the universe, is both a control booth and a bedroom, both a cosmic office and a dreamer's quiet corner. Think about that for a second as you breathe. The place that edits reality looks like a chill hangout, and yet it is the hinge on which every wish and every universe swings. We're going to just walk back through the images now, slowly. Prismo granting wishes with those strange, gentle rules. One wish per person per lifetime, spoken clearly, no wishing for more wishes, no moral veto. The Lich whispering extinction and spawning farm world instead, not erasing the timeline, but branching it. Finn waking up in a world of snow and guns because a single desire refracted into a whole new reality. Simon and Ice King counted as the same person by the cosmic ledger, because identity in this multiverse persists even when the mind fractures. In the background, like a low, distant hum, there is always the Mushroom War, a flash of ancient power that cracked Earth open and let magic and mutation flood in. Ooh grows out of that wound, and above it, the cosmic owl drifts through dreams, delivering fated visions, while Golb just exists as raw entropy, a shape that reality itself has trouble looking at directly. They are not villains in a simple way. They are weather, gravity, conditions of existence, and somewhere, in a small ordinary room, an old man sleeps. Prismo is only his dream, projected into the time room, which means the center of time is also the center of someone's private imagination. Wake the dreamer and the Wishmaster vanishes. Let him sleep, and the multiverse keeps branching, is a dream that can rewrite the universe, less real than the universe it rewrites. Under all the cosmic architecture, the emotional pattern stays the same. Loneliness, like Prismo on his couch. Choice, like every wish spoken into that glowing air. Consequence, like Farm World and shattered timelines. And eventually, acceptance. Finn letting go. Simon remembering himself. Prismo settling back into his role, not as an all-powerful god, but as a tired friend doing his best inside very old rules. In that specifically Adventure Time way, even the cycles of death and rebirth, the universes blooming and collapsing, start to feel almost gentle when you zoom out far enough. Just another breathing pattern. Just another rise and fall. So as we drift toward the last pieces of this story, you can let those images soften, the time room dimming, the screens flickering low, the cosmic owl folding its wings, Golb receding into abstraction, farm world snow falling in silence, the multiverse is still there. It will keep spinning without you watching. You are allowed to close your eyes. A quiet thanks from the time room. Outro and gentle CTA. And as your eyes grow heavier, the multiverse does something very strange. It keeps going without you. Timelines branch. Universes collide. The center of time hums along, and you are allowed to miss all of it on purpose. Here is the thing. You gave this universe your attention for a while. You followed Prismo through wish logic and cosmic bureaucracy, through farm world snow and Golb's abstraction, through the quiet ethics of desire and consequence. So thank you, genuinely, for drifting through Adventure Time's multiverse with us, for letting this bizarre little reality be the last noise you heard today. If you're still awake enough to register words as more than a gentle blur, we're going to make one small sleepy request of our own. When you're actually conscious again, if you want more deep-dive, sleep-friendly explorations like this, you can tap like or subscribe, or wander through the related videos lined up like alternate timelines on your home page. Not now. Later. Future. You can handle the cosmic power of buttons. Because in this video, the real goal wasn't to make you memorize every rule of the time room, or perfectly recall how Finn's wish created Farm World, or recite the exact hierarchy of cosmic entities from the Lich to the Cosmic Owl. The goal was to be a soft, steady presence at the edge of your awareness. Background reality. A low-lit time room of sound. So if you're already half asleep, if you only remember fragments, Prismo on his couch, the old man dreaming somewhere, universes spinning past like channels on a TV, that's not a failure. That is the point. That's the story doing its job, the same way Prismo's existence hums on, even when nobody is looking directly at the screen. Think about that for a second. If you're still here, you don't have to hold the whole multiverse in your head for it to keep existing. Let's start closing the time room for the night. Picture Prismo reaching for the remote, his two-dimensional arms stretching across the couch. One by one, the infinite screens dim. Farm world fades. Ooh softens. The nitosphere's glow recedes to a pilot light. The old man's breathing stays slow and even. Outside the window, universes keep quietly orbiting each other in that specifically Adventure Time way, casual and apocalyptic at the same time. The TV screen slips toward black. Not a dramatic power-off, just a long, gentle fade, like the end of a very late movie you didn't finish. The center of time doesn't stop humming. You just step away from it for a while. So you can let go of the rules now. Let go of Prismo, of wishes, of reality diagrams and multiverse charts. Let your thoughts misfire, dissolve, reassemble into dream logic. Whatever universe you drift into next belongs entirely to you. No wishmaster, no constraints, just you and sleep and the quiet power of not needing to understand any of it. Close your eyes, let the story blur, and fall all the way into your own timeline. Bonus drift, imagining your own Adventure Time timeline, and as you sink into that, we're going to quietly cheat and do one last experiment. A bonus drift, a soft, optional, half-dream exercise where the rules are even looser than Prismo's wish contract, and continuity just dissolves on contact. Let's start with ooh, but not the canon ooh, not the one pinned down on some writer's whiteboard or frozen in a wiki. Picture an ooh that has been quietly rewritten by your childhood. The park you used to go to, the hallway that felt too long at night, the corner store, the bus stop, the classroom that lived at the center of your personal time. Think about that for a second. Those places are already little pocket dimensions in your memory. Now just let them leak into the Candy Kingdom, into the Ice Kingdom, into the forests and fields. Here is the thing. This is still Adventure Time, but it's running on your fears and your favorites as the operating system. Maybe the dark basement becomes a dungeon full of polite, apologetic monsters who just want someone to talk to. Maybe the schoolyard bully is now a tiny, nervous wizard whose spells misfire into glitter and harmless frogs. The universe is the same shape, but the emotional gravity is yours. In that timeline, there might be a Finn who feels a little like you. Not a perfect copy, just an echo. Same age you remember being when everything felt too big and too bright. Maybe their hat looks different. Maybe they carry a notebook instead of a sword. Maybe their biggest quest is just walking across town, but in that specifically Adventure Time way, the walk across town is also a pilgrimage across an entire multiverse of maybe futures. And somewhere nearby, there's a Jake, or a BMO, or some new companion you just invented, whose only power is understanding you without you having to explain. Their magic isn't stretching or flying or shooting lasers. Their magic is that they always show up 1 second before you would have felt alone. Let this world stay loose. Blurry at the edges. Don't worry about how the Mushroom War happened here, or whether Prismo's time room can see it on one of his infinite screens. It doesn't need rules. It doesn't need a map. If a detail doesn't want to resolve, let it stay pixelated. If a character's face won't quite load, that's fine. They exist anyway, because right now, you are your own wishmaster. No cosmic boss, no one wish per lifetime policy. Just quiet, private power. By thinking gently, you are bending a whole pocket reality into shape, not with a shouted wish, but with a drifting half-formed desire that doesn't even need words. Let the scene slow down, fewer cuts, longer pauses between moments. Finn or you're Finn walking. A door, a sky, a sound. That's enough. You don't have to follow it, you don't have to narrate it. Just let the images get softer, then smaller, then simpler. Forest, footsteps, breath, time. And then even those can fade if they want to. Final fade to black, ending the story without ending the world. Forest, footsteps, time. And now even those are turning down, like someone slowly reaching for a dimmer switch at the center of time. The time room screens that were once blazing with every timeline, every Finn and Jake, every universe branching and colliding, start to fade from bright color to soft underwater glow. One by one, they blink to black. Not with drama, with a quiet administrative click, like reality is closing its tabs for the night. Let's start with the couch. A second ago, it was occupied. Prismo stretched out two-dimensional and cosmic, telling stories about wishes and rules and the weird bureaucracy of existence. But now, if you look over, the couch is already empty. There's the imprint where he was. The blanket, a little rumpled. The pickle jar half finished. He hasn't vanished. He has just stepped a little out of frame. Just out of sight. Here is the thing. In that specifically Adventure Time way, nothing important actually stops. The multiverse does not power down just because the time room lights are dimming in your imagination. Farm world still chills out in its frozen branch of reality. The nightosphere is still loud and inconvenient. Somewhere, Simon is still putting himself back together across 1,000 tiny human moments. Those timelines keep unspooling whether or not there is an audience. Think about that for a second. You can close your eyes. You can let go of every detail we've talked about. The Mushroom War, Golb, the Lich's Wish, Prismo's death and return, and all of it will just keep going. Off-screen. Off-mic. Off-mind. That is the strange comfort of a big messy multiverse. It doesn't need you to hold it up. You are allowed to set it down. We're going to gently separate you from the story now. Not with a hard cut. With a fade. Imagine the screens in the time room shrinking, each one becoming a small distant star, then a falling star, then not even that. Doors that were open between dimensions start to swing closed, slowly, with a soft magnetic click as they meet the frame. The nightosphere door, the portal to the citadel, the sideways elevator to some forgotten universe where a different Finn is making a different mistake. Somewhere in the background, there's a clock. It has always been there, ticking behind Prismo's jokes and wishes and cosmic paperwork. Tick, tick, tick. As the room darkens, the ticking doesn't stop. It just moves farther away, like it's walking down a long hallway of time, each step softer and softer and softer. The couch is empty, the lights are low, the center of time feels still, not because existence has ended, but because you don't have to monitor it anymore. You've handed the keys back to the universe. So this is where we let go. No twist, no new law drop, just a quiet closing of the time room door. Good night. Post credits in your head. If you're still awake, a tiny tease. Or at least, that's where we were supposed to let go. But if you're somehow still here, still awake, still tracking the quiet hum of the center of time in the back of your mind, then here is the thing. Your brain clearly enjoys marinating in dense, cozy cosmic lore. You are the person who hears the time room is outside reality and thinks, yeah, I could fall asleep to that. Think about that for a second. Most people need rain sounds. You went with a two-dimensional wishmaster and the metaphysics of existence. So, while everyone else is asleep on the metaphorical floor of this sleepover, we're going to whisper about what could be next. Not loud, not hyped, just quietly tempting. There are entire regions of this universe we barely touched. Golb, for example, just hanging there at the edge of the multiverse, like a cosmic infection, erasing structure wherever it goes. We talked about wishes that bend a timeline. Golb is what happens when reality itself gets tired of being organized. Or the dead worlds. Those layered, color-coded afterlives orbiting like spiritual satellites around Ooze history. Each one with its own rules, its own power structures, its own strange little bureaucracies of the soul. Imagine an episode where we follow a single spirit through those levels, the way we followed Finn through Farmworld, just calmly mapping how death plugs into the same great clock that keeps the time room ticking. And it does not have to stop with Adventure Time. There are other shows with their own bizarre cosmologies that rhyme with this one in that specifically Adventure Time way. Universes where dreams pilot bodies, or where timelines are grown like plants, pruned and grafted, not just reset. We could line them up against Prismo's rules and see which realities feel compatible, which ones feel like they could share a multiverse, if anyone ever wished hard enough. If that sounds like the exact kind of quiet brain candy you reach for on nights when sleep is being difficult, mentally bookmark this channel. Not in a frantic, must remember this way. More like leaving a mug on the same shelf every night, so your hand just finds it. Next time you need something that is interesting enough to occupy your attention, but gentle enough to let your desire for rest win, you can just drift back here. Because in this video, we walked through Prismo's world together. Next time, maybe we're sitting in the shadow of Golb, or strolling through the dead worlds, or peeking into some other time room adjacent universe. Or maybe you just replay this one, and let the same sentences wear a groove in your timeline. Either way, the time room is still here in your head now. The couch, the screens, the quiet. You can always come back, press play, and let the universe tuck you in again. Silence in the time room. Absolute stillness as the true outro. So let's start with what happens after you leave. The couch is empty. The remote is down. Every screen in the time room, every window into every timeline has gone dark. No Finn, no Jake, no Lich, no Golb, no cosmic wish negotiations. Just that impossible room at the center of time, hanging in the multiverse like a forgotten thought, and the quiet, steady hum of a universe that has finally logged off for the night. No more rewinding the Mushroom War, no more checking in on Farmworld or the Citadel, or some alternate version of you who made a different wish. The TV glow that once scraped through reality like neon on the fabric of existence itself is gone. The pickle jar is closed. The beanbag has the faint imprint of a two-dimensional host who is off duty now. There is still power here, but it's not flashy anymore. It's just the power of nothing happening. Here is the thing. That silence is not empty, it is full. Full of every timeline that is currently not being edited, not being managed, not being optimized for narrative satisfaction. Think about that for a second. All those universes, all those rules of cause and effect, just running on their own, like a cosmic screensaver you turned off and then forgot existed. We're going to mirror that in your body. Let your jaw unhook from the day. Let your shoulders drop, like someone just cancelled your one wish per lifetime and you don't have to decide anything ever again. Unclench your hands. Unclench your thoughts. Let your breathing slow until it feels less like you pushing air and more like the universe gently scrolling time past you. There are no more plot points tonight. No secret Prismo lore hidden in the margins. No final twist about the old man dreaming at the edge of reality. In this video, we already walked the timelines, traced the desires, followed the rules. Everything important has been said. What's left is not analysis. What's left is permission. Permission to let this timeline coast without you steering. You don't have to be Prismo at the center of time, tracking every possibility on infinite screens. You can just be one sleeper in one universe, letting your existence drift the way a wish drifts after it's spoken. Released, irreversible, no longer your problem. If a thought pops up, let it be like a channel you scroll past in the dark time room. No commentary, no engagement, just, oh, that's playing, and then the soft cosmic click of moving on. The night will unfold whether you supervise it or not. That's the secret joke of all this power. So this is where the commentary ends, but not where your timeline ends. This is where the words stop, but not where the universe stops. The room is quiet. The multiverse is distant. Your body is heavy. Good night from outside of time. And if there is something after that silence, some next wish, some next universe waiting to be watched, you'll find out when you wake up.